Naruto, get stronger by hanging up. Chapter 1. Konoha, Ninja School. Yu Yu looked at the leaves outside the window. He sighed in his heart. 12 years since I came to this world. I didn't expect time to pass so quickly. Yu Yu is a time traveler, who encountered the Nine-Tail Rebellion when he was born. His parents died in the Nine-Tail Rebellion. 6 years later, he successfully entered the ninja school. There is no difference from other students. After entering the ninja school, he had ordinary grades and ordinary rankings. The only thing worth mentioning was that he looked good. With ordinary grades, he was a small transparent person in the class. No one noticed. Unlike Uchiha Sasuke who always ranked first in every exam, and unlike Uzumaki Naruto who always ranked last, he did not attract people's attention. Yu Yu did not have any adventures and spent 12 years in an ordinary way. He did not show anything special to attract the attention of the third generation and Danzo. There was no such thing as inviting him to have tea. Hang-up system, activated successfully, bound to host, Yu Yu. Yu Yu was stunned for a moment. System. Hang-up system, at your service. Yu Yu frowned, thinking he was under an illusion. He bit the back of his hand, and the severe pain made Yu Yu know that he was not under an illusion. System, you are 12 years late. Yu Yu said without any emotional fluctuations. He has let it go in the past 12 years. Who knew that the system would appear now? The hang-up system did not respond to Yu Yu's words. It's really a cold system. What Yu Yu didn't know was that the hang-up system had no emotions and no intelligence. Seeing that the hang-up system did not reply to him, Yu Yu did not say anything. Asked, I wonder what kind of functions you have. Hang-up system. This system is an hang-up system. You only need to hang up for a certain period of time to get rewards. Yu Yu smiled. It's very simple. Then how do I use it? Hang-up system. You are already using it, and the hang-up system is serving you. Yu Yu was a little surprised. Have I used it now? I don't know what rewards there will be. After 12 years of experience, Yu Yu is already very familiar with this world. He doesn't care whether there is an hang-up system or not. If there is no hang-up system, just go with the flow. If there is, live a little more freely. It's just a little difference. Shift attention from the consciousness space. Looking at Iruka who was speaking on the podium, Yu Yu thought, is it finally graduated? I don't know which class one will be assigned to. The graduation exam is about to take place. The graduation exam is about the clone technique, although Yu Yu's grades have been very ordinary in the past 6 years. But graduation is not a problem, he has mastered the three-body technique. In other words, except for Naruto who was influenced by the Nine Tails, all the students in the class had mastered the three-body technique by this time. Iruka on the stage shouted, now, the students whose names I called out come to the next room. First, Uchiha Sasuke. Iruka called out Sasuke first. Since entering school, his grades have always been the best in the class. His name is also ranked first. Sasuke stood up coldly with a blank expression, put his hands in his pockets and walked to the next room. Many female classmates in the class looked at Sasuke with a crazy look on their faces. Sasuke is so handsome. Come on, Sasuke. Sasuke, I love you. These female classmates are obsessed with Sasuke like star-chasing girls. Naruto in the audience looked at the cool Sasuke on the stage and gritted his teeth. Damn, Sasuke, this bastard. What's so good about him? Shikamaru, who was sitting not far from Naruto, said weakly, Sasuke is the first in the class, and he has been the first all year round. Shikamaru, I will surpass him sooner or later. I am a man who wants to become Hokage. Shikamaru rolled his eyes at Naruto and fell asleep on the table. In the class, only Shikamaru and Inuzuka Kiba can play with Naruto. No one else wants to get close to Naruto, including Yu Yu. Others are influenced by their own adults, and Yu Yu doesn't want to cause trouble. In a few minutes, Sasuke came back. It was very smooth. Even Iruka wanted Sasuke to pass the exam without taking the exam. As early as the first year of entering the ninja school, Sasuke mastered the three-body technique. In Iruka's heart, Sasuke is the most powerful person in this class. The subsequent exams were just as Yu had imagined. Except for Naruto, everyone passed successfully. Later, the third generation of Hokage appeared and gave a speech to the students who successfully graduated. Let a group of people who have unrealistic fantasies about the profession of ninja students, full of fantasies about the ninja career that is about to begin. Naruto sat on the swing under the tree in disappointment, looking at his classmates who graduated successfully with envy. After a while, Naruto disappeared under the tree. Yu thought, he must have been fooled out by Mizuki. Yu did not intend to participate in Naruto's stealing of the scroll. When he was returning home from the ninja school, he passed by Ichiraku Ramen. Because he didn't want to cook by himself, he planned to have dinner at Ichiraku Ramen. But as soon as he entered Ichiraku Ramen, he ran into Iruka inviting Naruto to eat ramen. After 12 years in this world, Yu had long forgotten many plots. He didn't know that Iruka would invite Naruto to eat ramen at this time. Yu was about to leave. He was stopped by the owner of Ichiraku Ramen, Shuda. Yu, what do you want to eat today? Yu often eats ramen at Ichiraku Ramen, more frequently than Naruto. He and Shuda have become familiar with each other over the years. The hand-typed words attracted the attention of Iruka and Naruto. Yu had no choice but to go in. Hello, Teacher Iruka, Naruto, you are here to eat ramen too. Yu's parents are both ninjas, and the money they left him is enough for him to live a normal life until adulthood. Usually Yu would avoid the time when Naruto came here to eat noodles. In these years, Yu has never met Naruto here. Iruka saw that it was Yu and smiled. You performed well today. Naruto was not familiar with Yu. Yu's presence in the class is similar to that of Aburame Shino. Naruto didn't even know him and had no impression of him at all. After Yu sat on the chair, he smiled slightly. It's all because of your good teaching. Yu said worldly. And Naruto looked at Yu with a frown, and after thinking for a long time, he couldn't remember who Yu was. Yu didn't care. Naruto couldn't remember, so he leaned over to Iruka and whispered, Teacher Iruka, who is he? Is he my classmate? Iruka was about to say something to Yu, but was speechless when he heard what Naruto said. He looked at Naruto with a twitch in his mouth. Naruto, this is classmate Yu, don't you know him? Naruto smiled awkwardly, ha ha ha, Iruka teacher, I really don't have any impression of him. Naruto said honestly. Chapter 2. Iruka said to Yu awkwardly, Yu classmate, don't worry, Naruto just has a bad memory. After saying that, Iruka felt that this reason was ridiculous. No matter how bad the memory is, it is impossible for him to forget his classmates who have been in the same class for 6 years. To Iruka's surprise, Yu was not angry. Smiled and said, it's okay, I'm not good at socializing. Don't say that, it's just that Naruto has a bad memory. Iruka said seriously. Naruto also noticed Yu for the first time. Teacher Iruka, did Yu pass the graduation exam? Iruka turned his head and said with a fake smile, of course, you are the only one in our class who didn't pass. What have you been learning all these years? Naruto scratched his head awkwardly. Teacher Iruka, I'm just not good at the clone technique, my seduction technique is very good. When it comes to the seduction technique, Iruka's face turned red with anger, and he said loudly, don't mention that kind of obscene ninjutsu. Naruto shrank his head and whispered, but you are bleeding from your nose. Shut up, don't say it. After being exposed, Iruka's face turned red with shame. Yu didn't care. He smiled and said to Shuda, Uncle, a bowl of tonkatsu ramen. While making ramen, Shuda asked with a smile, Yu passed the exam of the ninja school and will become a ninja in the future. I'll give you 2 eggs today. Handa has a good relationship with Yu. Yu smiled and said, "Thank you, uncle." At this time, Ayame filled a bowl of beef, placed it in front of Yu and smiled. "Brother Yu, sister is also very happy. Because Yu looks good, often comes to Ichiraku ramen restaurant to eat, and is very polite. So Ayame has a good impression of him." After Iruka and Naruto finished talking, Yu almost finished eating. Because Iruka and Naruto were here, Yu ate much faster than usual. After eating, Yu stood up and said, "Teacher Iruka, Naruto, you guys enjoy, I'm leaving first." Iruka was stunned. "I didn't expect Yu to eat so fast." Looking at Naruto, he understood something. But he didn't blame Yu. After all, Yu's parents died in the Nine Tails disaster. It's normal that he doesn't like Naruto. Naruto didn't know anything, and said goodbye to Yu with a big laugh. "Goodbye, Yu, let's play together when you have time." Yu smiled slightly and left without saying anything. Polite but distant. Naruto couldn't see it, but Iruka could see it. He is much better than others. At least he doesn't have such obvious disgust towards Naruto in his eyes. What Iruka didn't know was that Yu alienated Naruto just because he didn't want to cause trouble. Yu returned home. Lying on the bed, closing his eyes, thinking in his mind when the reward would arrive. Is the AFK system real? Waited until the early morning. He was almost asleep, and suddenly the voice of the AFK system sounded in his mind. "You have been AFK for a day, congratulations on lifting the chakra limit." Yu frowned, not knowing what this reward meant. Suddenly, Yu felt a faint blue light emerging from his body. Yu, who had already extracted chakra, knew that these blue lights were chakra. But he was very surprised because the concentration of these chakras was too high. It has actually materialized. Such a rich chakra, the amount of these chakras is 100 times more than what I originally had. Is this my reward? The next moment, these chakras rushed into Yu's body frantically. At this moment, Yu only felt comfortable all over, so comfortable that Yu almost cried out. If he hadn't bitten the quilt, I'm afraid the neighbors around would misunderstand that Yu was doing something indescribable. It took a long time for Yu to completely absorb those chakras. It's so shocking, I can actually absorb chakra from the outside world. The chakra of a ninja is extracted from the cells in the body. Yu did this before. In the past, Yu was always worried that extracting chakra would make the body weak. In fact, he thought too much. This world is different from the world that Yu is familiar with. Many rules of the original world do not apply to this world. In this world, extracting chakra will not damage the body unless it is over-extracted. It's just that the amount of chakra extracted from the body is greatly limited due to different physical constitutions. In short, people from ninja families tend to have much better physical constitutions than ordinary ninjas, and have much more chakra. Yuyu's chakra amount has always been very ordinary, because his parents were both civilian ninjas. Yuyu's chakra before was not comparable to Sasuke's. The gap was about 10 times. There was a gap of tens of thousands times with Naruto, and this was without counting the Nine Tails chakra. Only the chakra brought by Naruto's Uzumaki clan bloodline was counted. And as he got older, Naruto's chakra would increase, and the gap between Yu and him would only get bigger and bigger. In this world, bloodline is very important. Without bloodline, at most, he could only be like Kai, a flash in the pan. Now, Yu felt that his chakra was 100 times more than before. Almost at the level of a senior ninja. And he could extract chakra from the outside world. This means that he could extract chakra anytime and anywhere. This is something many ninjas cannot do. The energy in nature is much more than that in Yuyu's body. Now Yu felt that the energy from the outside world was pouring into his body continuously. The quality was extremely high. What Yu didn't know was that the chakra he absorbed from the outside world was natural energy. The quality is naturally much higher than ordinary chakra. In addition to being used for fighting, natural energy can also nourish the body. Yu's body is not good. It is his body that limits him from absorbing more chakra. If he had Naruto's physical condition, his chakra would be more than 100 times that of Naruto. Now, Yu only feels that his body is very comfortable. It is more comfortable than taking a hot bath. This system is too powerful. It gave me such a big surprise on the first day. It's a pity that now I don't know any ninjutsu except the 3-body technique. Yu's parents did not leave any ninjutsu scrolls. Yu's parents are not high-level ninjas, both of them are ordinary chunin. Take it slow, maybe there is an autoplay system, and it may appear in the future. It's good that the chakra amount has increased 100 times. Now my chakra is much higher than Sasuke. Sasuke's chakra amount is also very large, much more than ordinary students. It's just that compared with Naruto, it's much less. But everyone has less chakra than Naruto. The Uchiha clan is also known for its high chakra, but it is a little less than the Uzumaki clan and the Senju clan. After all, it is difficult to drive the Sharingan without enough chakra. Not to mention driving the Mangekyo Sharingan. Chapter 3. The next day, Yu came to school. As soon as he entered the classroom, he saw Naruto had already arrived. Naruto had remembered Yu yesterday. The difference between Yu and Shino is that he did not wrap himself up. People did not pay attention to him before, just because he did not participate in many things and did not play with classmates. He went home after class. When he saw Yu, Naruto stood up and waved enthusiastically, "Hey, Yu." Yu was a little surprised, but still smiled and nodded. He sat down at random. Naruto's behavior attracted the attention of many students in the class. Although he has always been the last one in the class, he has always been able to attract the attention of classmates. Many people looked at Yu. Some female classmates were stunned when they saw Yu. They didn't realize that there was such a good-looking boy in the class. He looks no worse than Sasuke. I didn't know he existed before. What? Sasuke is the best. No one can compare to him. But he does look pretty. The female classmates are arguing about who looks better between Yu and Sasuke. Many female classmates think Sasuke is better, but not because of his appearance, but because of his overall strength. Some female classmates have already run to Yu to take the initiative. For example, Ino. She was originally obsessed with looks. She liked Sasuke only because Sasuke was handsome. Now that she found a male classmate who looks no worse than Sasuke, she naturally wouldn't let him go. Ino came to Yu and said with a blushing face, "Hello, I'm Yamanaka Ino. Why haven't I seen you before?" Yu frowned. He doubted himself and thought, did I really have such a low sense of existence before? Although I don't want to stand out, it's too outrageous that I haven't seen her before, right? Yu was speechless. He just didn't want to cause trouble, not to be autistic. But he didn't expect that the people in the class really had no impression of him. They were in the same class for 6 years, and for 6 whole years, all they got was a question, why haven't I seen you before? Looking at the shy Ino, Yu could only smile and say, I'm Yu, nice to meet you. Yu's teasing made Ino embarrassed. Awkwardly said, I'm sorry, classmate Yu. Yu was just teasing Ino, so he naturally wouldn't really blame her. Besides, this matter itself was his fault. It's okay, just treat it as our first acquaintance. Yu smiled slightly. Ino saw Yu's smile, her heart beat wildly, and she almost fainted. The girls in this world are a bit exaggerated. When you are moved, you will faint because of the accelerated heartbeat. Just then, Shikamaru came over. He said lazily, you usually focus on Sasuke, it's normal that you didn't notice Yu. Shikamaru came over and sat next to Yu. Hello, I saw you leave after class before, and I didn't get to know you well. I'm Shikamaru. Shikamaru stretched out his hand. Yu didn't expect Shikamaru to pay attention to him all the time. Yes, I'm Yu. He stretched out his hand and shook hands with Shikamaru. It's normal for Shikamaru to pay attention to him. After all, with his brain, he must have noticed Yu's existence. Even if it's just about appearance, the only one who can compare with him in the class is Sasuke. After chatting for a few words, Sasuke came in. As soon as he arrived, all the girls in the class focused their attention on him. Ah, Sasuke, so handsome. Many girls rushed towards Sasuke. Shikamaru lay on the table and said weakly, "Women are really troublesome." Who knew that as soon as he finished speaking, Ino glared at him over Yu. Shikamaru, what did you say? Shikamaru turned his head and found that Ino did not rush towards Sasuke with those girls. I didn't say you. Ino rolled her eyes at him, huh. Although Ino also looked at Sasuke a few times, she looked at Yu more. In the past, Sasuke had always attracted her attention, so she didn't notice Yu's existence. When she noticed Yu, she found that there was no one around Yu. And her appearance was no worse than Sasuke. Of course she knew how to choose. Although Sasuke was good, there were too many girls around him. And Sakura was competing with her. In just a moment, Ino thought about the result. Made a choice. Naruto on the side saw Sakura squeezed in front of Sasuke, looking like a fangirl. She gnashed her teeth in anger. Damn it, Sakura's eyes are full of Sasuke. Sasuke is, bastard, I will never give Sakura to you. Naruto said as he walked towards Sasuke's position. Naruto's actions attracted the attention of many people. Even Yu looked over. Naruto jumped onto the table in front of Sasuke, squatted on the table and stared at Sasuke. Sasuke was not to be outdone, staring at Naruto. The girl next to him was furious when she saw Naruto's actions. Stupid Naruto, don't stare at Sasuke like that. Naruto, calm down quickly, how dare you stare at Sasuke like that? Yu has been watching this scene, and he always feels that this scene is familiar. The memory is a little fuzzy. But he always feels that something surprising will happen next. Sure enough, the next moment, the person in front of Naruto accidentally hit Naruto's butt with an elbow. Naruto lost his balance and rushed towards Sasuke. Then something happened that made Yu's eyes widen. The female classmate next to him was heartbroken when she saw this scene. Ah, bastard Naruto, what are you doing? How dare you do this to Sasuke? Sasuke's first kiss, gone. Asshole. Seeing this scene, Yu was also shocked. The corner of his mouth twitched slightly. These two people have a good relationship. Shikamaru next to him was speechless. Naruto, you idiot. Ino also had the same expression as Yu. They should both have their first kiss, right? If it was before, Ino would be very angry. But now she doesn't feel that way. She is different from Sakura. Sakura really likes Sasuke. And the reason why Ino likes Sasuke is not only because she wants to compete with Sakura, but also because she likes Sasuke's appearance. So she likes others very quickly. Yu feels that he will remember this scene between Naruto and Sasuke for the rest of his life. He thought darkly in his heart, the reason why Naruto keeps chasing Sasuke later, could it be that they really have some special feelings? Thinking of this, Yu just felt uncomfortable all over. Too outrageous, I'd better kill this idea quickly, it's terrifying to think about it carefully. Both Sasuke and Naruto were retching because of the scene just now. Sasuke looked at Naruto with disgust. Naruto, you idiot, what do you want to do? Naruto didn't show any weakness at all, and said angrily, I'm going to ask, you bastard, what do you want to do? The two of them started arguing after a disagreement. Xiaoying had no choice but to pull them apart. To prevent them from arguing again, she sat between them. From this moment on, Xiaoying became the bond that balanced the relationship between the two. Chapter 4. This scene was also seen by the senior ninjas in the Hokage room. Everyone looked at the crystal ball of the third generation with a black line. Sarutobi Asuma said, "This is Uchiha Sasuke, the first place in this session. Judging from his results, he is very good, not worse than Kakashi back then." Kakashi, who had been looking at the crystal ball without saying anything, said lightly, "Maybe he is stronger than I was back then." He thought to himself, after all, he is Uchiha. The Uchiha clan has a lot of weight in Kakashi's heart. His friends and former subordinates are all from the Uchiha clan. He has also seen the power of the Uchiha clan. The third generation was also speechless when he saw this scene. He thought to himself, Naruto, this kid, why does he always do such unexpected things, alas. No one noticed Yi Yu. Yi Yu's performance in recent years has been average, not good, not bad. Even the third generation has no impression of him. This is also normal. After all, with Yi Yu's previous image, he was just an ordinary student. There is nothing special about him, and he is not from a ninja family, so naturally no one pays attention to him. After waiting for a while, Iruka came in. Looking at the students below, under the nervous eyes of the students, he took out the list of classes. Ino, who was sitting next to Yi Yu, prayed in her heart, I must be assigned to the same class with Yi Yu. But she didn't know that her future had been clearly arranged by the third generation of Hokage and her parents. The combination of Pig, Shika and Cho will not be separated. In other words, the 12 little strongmen of Konoha have been arranged clearly. There is no possibility of anything happening to other people. Sure enough, Iruka read out the names of several groups, but Yi Yu was not included. When it came to the 10th team, Iruka said, the 10th team, Nara Shikamaru, Akamichi Choji, Yamanaka Ino. As expected by Yi Yu. Even though he has forgotten many plots. He has lived in Konoha for more than 10 years. He also knew the general situation of each family in Konoha. How could Ino, Shikaku and Cho be separated? Ino lay on the table and said weakly, what? This class is not divided well at all. I and Yi Yu were not put in the same class. Shikamaru on the side said helplessly, hey, can you not say it in front of us? We are teammates after all. Ino snorted coldly. When looking at Yi Yu, he found that he was very calm, as if he had expected this result a long time ago. Dejectedly said, Yi Yu, I was not in the same class with you. Yi Yu smiled and said, the teachers must have their own considerations. Iruka continued, Class 11, Yamada Muki, Jingwen Yi Yu, Ben Yi Tianzi. Yi Yu thought to himself, sure enough, my classmates are 2 unknown students. Class 11 is 3 students from civilian backgrounds. Yi Yu believes that their teacher must not be one of the famous Jonin of Konoha. It is estimated that it is just an ordinary Jonin to lead them. He may not even be a Jonin, especially a Jonin or a Chunin. The 2 classmates Yi Yu had never heard of were looking for their teammates in the classroom. Yamada Shuki, a boy with a personality similar to Naruto, but he had a ponytail. Ben Yi Tianzi was a pretty good-looking girl, with long golden hair that reached her waist, a pure white top and a pure black skirt without any patterns. She looked quite quiet. Yi Yu had never paid attention to these 2 people. Yamada Shuki and Ben Yi Tianzi had no impression of him. The 2 of them had a good relationship. Yi Yu was a stranger to them. After the classes were divided, each Jonin came to the classroom to take their students away. The first one to come was Asuma. As soon as he came in, he looked at Shikamaru and the other 2 and said, Students of Class 10, I am your instructor, follow me. When Ino was leaving, she looked at Yi Yu and said reluctantly, Yi Yu, my home is in a flower shop on the commercial street. I usually help out in the flower shop. You must come to play with me. Yi Yu nodded slightly. If he didn't agree, Ino probably wouldn't want to leave. Shikamaru also said, "Yu, then we'll go first." Yu smiled and said, "Well, you go first." After the three left, Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi sat next to Yu. Yamada Shuki has a cheerful personality. As soon as he sat down, he turned around and stretched out his hand to Yu and smiled. "Hello, Yu classmate, I am Yamada Shuki. We will be in the same class from now on. Please give me more guidance." Yu smiled and said, "Hello, Shuki classmate, I am Yu, and please give me more guidance in the future, teach." "Yu, I am Benyi Tianzi, please teach me in the future." Benyi Tianzi also extended his hand to Yu generously. Yu shook it slightly and then let it go, smiling, "Tianzi, please teach me in the future." The three of them met in this way. When shaking hands with them, Yu sensed that the amount of chakra in their bodies was not much. It was just the level of ordinary genin. This is a characteristic of natural energy. It is particularly sensitive to energy, not only chakra, but also energy and crisis. Now Yu has a preliminary understanding of his two partners. He does not hate his two partners. Both of them have good personalities. Although Yamada Shuki's personality is similar to Naruto, he is not as jumpy as him. It's just more cheerful. Benyi Tianzi's personality is similar to Hinata's, but not as introverted as her. She is just more quiet. Her appearance is not worse than Hinata's. Her clothing is much better than Hinata's. Yu can see that although Benyi Tianzi is not from a ninja family, her family conditions are definitely very good. Her clothes are worth a lot of money. As expected, Benyi Tianzi is a small rich woman. Benyi Tianzi and Yamada Shumyu are very curious about Yu. They don't have any impression of Yu at ordinary times. Yamada Shumyu couldn't help asking, "Yu classmate, why don't I have any impression of you? Are you a transfer student?" Benyi Tianzi also looked at Yu. She was also curious. Yu was a little helpless. In this class, it seems that except Shikamaru, few people know him. They have been in the same class for 6 years. Yu still said patiently, "I have been in the class for 6 years." Shumyu was stunned. You have been in the class for 6 years. He couldn't believe that in 6 years, he had no impression of Yu at all. Hanyi Tianzi also covered her mouth. She was also shocked. Yu smiled bitterly. "Maybe I don't like to communicate with people usually." Yamada Shumyu nodded and agreed with Yu. "Indeed, I don't have any impression of you, it's too strange. But we will be companions in the future, we won't let you be alone again." Shumyu smiled cheerfully. Yu was a little surprised. It seems that it's not only the protagonists who have such people. These supporting roles are actually not bad, but they are not strong enough, so they can only become background boards. The unlucky ones even died in the Fourth Ninja World War. The more unlucky ones died during the mission before they even survived the Fourth Ninja World War. Chapter 5. Just as Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi finished talking, a ninja who looked to be in his 40s and was too sturdy to look like a ninja walked into the classroom. The fierce aura on him immediately made the originally noisy classroom quiet. The man walked to the podium and glanced around the classroom. He quickly locked onto Yu and the other two. "Class 11, follow me." Concise and to the point. This ninja was the instructor of Yu and the other two. After the ninja finished speaking, he walked out of the classroom by himself. Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi were frightened by this ninja. "Why is our teacher such a fierce person?" Yamada Shuki complained. Benyi Tianzi also said with some concern, "It seems that we will be miserable in the future." Yu did not care. Thinking in his heart, "This man has a strong aura and a heavy smell of blood. It seems that he used to come from the Anbu or something like that. But this is a good thing. Being able to enter the Anbu also proves his strength. The Anbu is not all Jonin, Chunin can also enter, but those who can enter the Anbu are the best among Chunin. Let's go. If we don't catch up, we don't know where he will go. Yu reminded the two. After Yu and the other two left, Naruto, who was sitting behind, breathed a sigh of relief. It's so scary. Yu is miserable. His instructor looks very difficult to mess with. A moment of silence for his future ninja career. Sakura, who was sitting next to him, also said with lingering fear, "Who is that teacher? It feels like he wants to kill people." Only Sasuke was thoughtful. That ninja has a similar aura to that man. He should be from the Anbu. Compared to Naruto and Sakura, Sasuke has a wider range of knowledge. He felt a similar aura from the instructor of Yu and his brother Uchiha Itachi. After Yu and his two companions came out of the classroom and caught up with their instructor, they followed silently. Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi were afraid of the aura of the instructor. Yu was not talkative. The instructor did not speak either. The four walked out of the ninja school in silence and came to a training ground in Konoha. Konoha has many training grounds, and they are all very large. The most famous one is the Death Forest, which has a diameter of 20 kilometers. The three stood in front of the instructor. Except for Yu, Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi were trembling. The instructor glanced at the three people, and then set his eyes on Yu. Then Yu felt a heavy force on his body. This feeling made him very uncomfortable. He knew where this feeling came from. But he did not intend to compromise. Even if he was a little dazed. This was the pressure released by the instructor. Under the terrifying pressure, Yu did not change his expression. He even seemed to be unaffected. The instructor was shocked. Interesting kid. The pressure to suppress Yu did not work, which made the instructor very interested in Yu. After all, Yu was just a student who had just graduated from the ninja school. Under the pressure he released, he was so calm and composed. Even a Chunin couldn't do it. Ha ha ha, kid, you really surprised me. I thought I was just assigned a few young boys, but I didn't expect there would be an interesting guy like you. The instructor spoke. Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi, who were affected by the pressure just now, had turned pale, trembling all over, and their consciousness was blurred. After all, the instructor was a ninja from the Anbu. His pressure was full of corn. Yu raised his head, looked at the instructor and said, "Teacher, I don't think you should use such bloody means on a few ninja trainees." Although Yu resisted the pressure from the instructor. But it doesn't mean he doesn't care. Just now, his mind was also in a trance for a moment. If it weren't for the reward last night, his mental and physical fitness have improved several times. Now he has already had a mental breakdown like Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi. The instructor was stunned by Yu's words. Just about to say something, then waved his hand helplessly. "Forget it, I just said that I am not suitable to be a teacher for you little brats. If you dare to talk to me like this before, I will at least beat you up." "Boy, your name is Yu, right? It seems that the teacher of the ninja school before evaluated you inaccurately. You are not ordinary at all." The instructor smiled and said. Without the pressure from their instructor, Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi felt better. Just looking at his eyes, Guang was very scared. They had never experienced such a terrifying thing. The two looked at Yu at the same time. Under the terrifying pressure just now, Yu could still remain calm. Yu was also very terrifying. Before, they thought Yu should be about the same as them. Unexpectedly, the gap between them and Yu was so big. The two did not know that the pressure from the instructor just now was mainly on Yu. If they knew, they would be even more shocked. Just the aftermath almost made them lose consciousness. Not to mention how powerful Yu, who was mainly under this pressure, would be. Yu did not deny the instructor's words. The explanation was a bit deliberate. The instructor did not dwell on this matter too much. Instead, he was very happy. "Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Mu Ben Yitong. You can call me Teacher Yitong. Just now was a small test for you. You performed well, especially Yu. Mu Benyi Tong was very satisfied with Yu's performance just now, and even surprised. Okay, you should introduce yourselves. After hearing what Kimoto Tong said, Yamada Shuki raised his hand first and said excitedly, Teacher, my name is Yamada Shuki. My favorite food is barbecue, and my most hated food is green pepper. My dream is to become the most powerful ninja in the world, and then become the most powerful Hokage in Konoha. Yamada Shuki is very similar to Naruto. Even their dreams are very similar. However, the dream of becoming a Hokage is probably the dream of most children in Konoha village. Kimoto Tong smiled and said, Then you have to work hard. After all, there are many powerful ninjas in this world. If you want to become the most powerful ninja, you need to work harder than others. Kimoto Tong now no longer has the aura of keeping strangers away. He seems very kind. Benyi Tianzi on the side still hasn't forgotten the fear that Kimoto Tong brought her just now. She said in a trembling voice, My name is Benyi Tianzi, I am 12 years old this year. The voice was so small that it was almost inaudible. She was already cute and lovely, and now she is even more pitiful. Her waist-length blonde hair makes her look extremely beautiful. Even Yu was stunned for a moment. Such a beautiful girl has never appeared before. It seems that she will die in some mission. Yu frowned. Both Benyi Tianzi and Yamada Shuki left a good impression on him. Although they just met, Yu has already recognized them. I wonder if my appearance will change their future fate. Yu thought. After arriving at Yu said calmly, My name is Jingwen Yu, and my dream is to become an excellent ninja. Yu said a very ordinary dream. After all, he really didn't have any dreams. He didn't have any before getting the system, and there was no change after getting it. Chapter 6. After the three of them introduced themselves, Muban Tongi smiled and said, Okay, that's all for today. Meet here tomorrow morning and I'll take you to take on the mission. After saying that, he disappeared without giving the three people a chance to answer. Yamada Muki and Benyi Tianzi were both stunned. Looking at the empty place, they were stunned. Yu shook his head helplessly. It seems that this teacher is also unreliable. Yamada classmate, Benyi classmate, see you tomorrow. Muban Tongi left, and Yu naturally didn't want to stay. But he was stopped by Yamada Muki just as he was about to leave. Yu classmate, wait a minute, today is our graduation day, and it is also our first day of team formation. Shouldn't we go celebrate? Before Yu could answer, Benyi Tianzi agreed, Okay, let's go for barbecue, how about I treat you? Yu classmate, neither of us have really gotten to know you. Benyi Tianzi, who had recovered, blinked her beautiful eyes and looked at Yu. It was difficult for Yu to refuse. Well, let Benyi pay for it. Although I guessed that Benyi Tianzi was a wealthy woman, I still felt a little embarrassed to let her treat me. After all, in Konoha village, the price of a barbecue meal is not cheap, and it is not comparable to ramen. Yamada Mushi smiled and said, You don't have to feel embarrassed. Tianzi's father is a famous rich man in Konoha village. Her monthly pocket money is the reward for AB level mission. Mushi, if you say that again, I will let you pay for it yourself. Benyi Tianzi seemed to hate others saying that she was rich. Yamada Mushi smiled. Okay, I won't say it anymore. How about Yu, do you want to go? Yu was a little surprised at Benyi Tianzi's family background. He had guessed that Benyi Tianzi's family background was good before, but he didn't expect it to be so good. You should know that the reward for AB level mission is 80,000 to 200,000 taels. Even if we use the lowest standard of 80,000 taels, Ben Yetiko's monthly pocket money can buy more than 1,000 bowls of ordinary Ichiraku ramen. And Yu's monthly living expenses are only 5,000 taels. And 5,000 taels can already allow Yu to live very well. Ben Yetiko's pocket money alone is at least 16 times Yu's living expenses. Yu's mouth twitched slightly, thinking, the gap between the rich and the poor is really big. Since someone invited him to eat barbecue, Yu Yu would naturally not refuse. Yu Yu smiled and said, "Well, let's go. Come to the most famous barbecue restaurant in Konoha village, where ninjas often gather." Just after entering the door, a voice came from the store. "Yu Yu classmate, here." Yu Yu looked in the direction of the voice. It turned out that Ino and others were also here. Yu Yu looked at Ben Yediko and asked her opinion. Ben Yitianzi smiled and said, "Yu Yu and Ino seem to have a good relationship." Yu Yu said lightly, "We just met today." Yu Yu didn't know what Ben Yitianzi meant by asking this. But Yamada Muki beside him only felt a chill. Is this guy Tianzi jealous? Yu Yu didn't know Ben Yitianzi, but Yamada Muki did. Although Ben Yitianzi's personality was very gentle, she was often weird. After hearing Yu Yu's answer, Ben Yitianzi smiled and said, "Then let's go together." Yu Yu didn't feel anything, but Yamada Muki felt bad. "I hope this barbecue can be eaten calmly. But it's difficult." Yamada Muki could already imagine what might happen later. The three came to Ino's side. Sure enough, Ino, Shikamaru, Choji and their instructor Asuma were all there. When Yu Yu came to Ino, Ben Yitianzi sat between him and Ino. Smiled and said, "Ino, I didn't expect you to be here." Ino looked at Ben Yediko. The two of them actually had a good relationship. When she was in the ninja school, she was one of the few female classmates in the class who was not obsessed with Sasuke. So Ino and her had no competition. In addition, although Ben Yediko was not from a ninja family, it was also a wealthy family in Konoha. So the two of them had a good relationship usually. It's just that today Ino always felt that Ben Yediko gave her a different feeling than usual. Yamada Mushi and Shikamaru both noticed this. Yu Yu sat next to Yamada Mushi. Shikamaru on the side introduced, "Yu Yu, this is our instructor, Sarutobi Asuma." Yu Yu, Yamanaka Mushi and Ben Yediko quickly stood up, "Teacher Asuma." Yu Yu and the three of them knew Asuma's identity. Even if not counting his status as the son of the third Hokage, his status as an elite Jonin is worthy of the three people's serious treatment. Elite Jonins are very powerful in ninja villages, and can even be shadows in some small ninja villages. In Konoha, there are not too many ninjas with elite Jonin strength. No matter which village they are in, they are the most powerful group of people. Seeing the three people so serious, Asuma waved his hand quickly. "You're welcome, sit down, sit down." After the three sat down, Asuma looked at Shikamaru and the others helplessly. "Look at how sensible the classmates are, you should learn from them." But Shikamaru and the other two didn't listen. After all, the three of them are from ninja families, and they won't be too polite even if they respect Asuma. After all, the Ino Shikacho family is not inferior to the Sarutobi family. Ino didn't pay any attention to Asuma at all, but looked at Yu Yu with burning eyes. "Yu Yu, how come you finished so quickly? Didn't your teacher test you?" Ino spoke to Yu Yu over Ben Yitianzi, which made Ben Yitianzi a little unhappy. But she didn't show it. Several people looked at Yu Yu. After all, they also wanted to know what was going on. Although they graduated and became ninjas successfully. But they all needed to pass the test of the ninja instructor. If they couldn't pass, the instructor had the right to send them back to the ninja school for re-study. Yu Yu explained, "Our teacher's test is relatively simple, so it was over quickly." But Yu Yu didn't say anything, and Yamada Shuki on the side couldn't help but say, "No, our teacher's test was too terrible, and Tianzi and I almost died." When Yamada Shuki thought of Mubantongi's test, he was still frightened. It was too scary, and at that moment he even felt that he was better off dead. Yada Shuki's words made Shikamaru and others a little curious. Asuma frowned and asked, "Who is your teacher?" Because Asuma entered the classroom before Kimoto Ichi, he missed Kimoto Ichi. "It's Kimoto Ichi." Yamada Muki answered. Asuma was stunned for a moment, then frowned. He couldn't remember any other ninja with this name in Konoha. Kimoto Ichi. Why don't I remember there is a ninja with this name in Konoha? Chapter 7. Yamada Mushi asked curiously, even Asuma-sensei doesn't know. Is our teacher unknown? Yamada Mushi felt a little disappointed. After all, he felt that Kimoto Ichido seemed to have strong strength and should be a very powerful ninja. Asuma noticed Yamada Mushi's emotions and quickly said, it shouldn't be. As far as I know, all the instructors who lead a class of students are Jonin. Your teacher must be one, but I don't know every ninja in Konoha village. Yamada Mushi didn't feel so disappointed when he heard this. Although Yamada Mushi was very afraid of Kimoto Ichido when he tested 3 people before. But he was also glad that his teacher was a powerful ninja. Following a powerful ninja, you can become a powerful ninja faster. This is Yamada Mushi's idea. Shikamaru asked at this time, what happened when you said that your instructor's test almost killed you? Shikamaru was very curious. It's just a test, it shouldn't be so cruel, right? Asuma also looked at Yamada Mushi. He also disagreed with using too cruel means on students. Even Kakashi would not put students in danger. Asuma was worried that Kimoto Tangi would use cruel means on his students. This kind of thing has happened before, but it is forbidden in Konoha village. Yamada Shuki looked at Yu and said, in fact, there is no special test. It's just that our teacher seems to have used mental ninjutsu on us, which almost broke our spirits. If it weren't for Yu, Tianzi and I might have really died. Now Yamada Shuki has thought that Kimoto Tangi's pressure was mainly aimed at Yu. Otherwise, Kimoto Tangi would not look at Yu differently. I'm afraid that Kimoto Tangi's pressure was mainly on Yu at that time, and he and Benyi Tianzi only bore a small part. Yu was putting a piece of barbecue into his mouth, and suddenly Asuma, Shikamaru and Ino all looked at him. Yu was stunned for a moment. What's wrong? When Yamada Shuki was talking to Asuma and Shikamaru just now, Yu didn't listen at all. For him, the various barbecues on the table were more attractive. Yu has lived in this world for 12 years and has no friends. Usually, apart from practicing, he eats all kinds of delicious food. Looking at the eyes of several people, Yu was very confused. Asuma was even more confused. He was confused because he had read Yu's information and he didn't perform well in the ninja school. Why did he seem to be a very powerful person in Yamada Shuki's mouth? Asuma thought about it and asked Yamada Shuki, your teacher cast mental ninjutsu on you, so how do you feel? Yamada Shuki thought about it and said, it's just that I feel like I'm in a sea of blood and corpses, and countless ninjas are rushing towards me. I feel like I've been stabbed to death dozens of times, and I can't get rid of that environment at all. After Yamada Shuki finished speaking, Benyi Tianzi also shrank back with lingering fear. The pressure from Kimoto Ichiban has left a shadow on her. I guess she will never forget it in her life. Based on Yamada Ki's description, Asuma roughly guessed what kind of ninjutsu Kimoto Ichiban used. He also roughly guessed Kimoto Ichiban's identity. No wonder I haven't heard of his name. I think he should be from the Anbu. Anbu. Except for Yu, several people looked at Asuma in confusion. Asuma took a puff of cigarette and said slowly, yes, Anbu. Anbu is a department of our Konoha village. It is an organization that protects Konoha village in the dark. There are a large number of powerful ninjas gathered in it. It was the first time for several people to hear about this department. Even though Shikamaru and others came from a famous family, they didn't know about the Anbu. Or they usually don't pay attention to this information. Shikamaru looked at Yu deeply. He could feel the power of the Anbu from Asuma's statement. Yu could actually withstand the mental suppression of that kind of ninja. Asuma was the same. He looked at Yu who was eating barbecue. None of them ate, only Yu's energy was focused on the food. The barbecue on the table seemed to be more attractive than the topics they were talking about. He knew best what kind of power the ninjas from the Anbu had. And all the instructors of this session were Jonin. That means Yu Yu's teacher was also a Jonin. Asuma knew very well how strong the Jonin of the Anbu were. Yu Yu could actually withstand the mental suppression of such a ninja. He was like nothing happened afterwards, which was enough to show how extraordinary Yu Yu was. At this time, Yamada Shuki, who did not notice the expressions of Shikamaru and Asuma, was completely everyone was shocked by what Asuma said just now. Anbu, it sounds like Mr. Kimoto is very strong. As expected of a teacher. What Yamada Muki cares about is whether Kimoto Tangi can teach him powerful ninjutsu and teach him to be a strong ninja. And to do these two things, Kimoto Tangi must be very strong. Shikamaru looked at Asuma. Asuma shook his head. Shikamaru originally wanted to ask about the specific situation of Yu Yu. But Asuma's attitude made him stop talking. After that, Asuma did not ask Yamada Muki about the assessment. But Asuma kept this matter in mind and thought about discussing it with Kakashi. A student who just graduated from the ninja school can actually withstand the illusion of the Anbu Jonin. Very strange. And Yu Yu's performance was mediocre when he was in the ninja school before. How can he be so strong? Is it just a simple strong spiritual energy? All this needs him to investigate. Yu Yu didn't notice Asuma's thoughts. Even if he noticed, he wouldn't care. He didn't behave too scary. It's just that his mental strength is a little extraordinary. After a barbecue, Yu Yu and Zulu Cho, as well as Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi, became more familiar with each other. When returning home at night, Yamada Shuki said to Yu Yu, Tianzi's house and I are not on the same way, you can take Tianzi home. After saying that, he ran away without giving Yu Yu a chance to refuse. Yu Yu was stunned. And Benyi Tianzi's fair face turned red. Yu Yu frowned. What's wrong with that kid? Yu Yu thought there was something urgent at home. Benyi Tianzi lowered his head in shame, and his toes kicked the ground involuntarily. He didn't say anything either. Yu Yu turned around and looked at Benyi Tianzi, smiling, I'll take you back. After all, it was night, and although Benyi Tianzi had graduated from the ninja school and was considered a ninja. But she was a girl after all, and a girl from a wealthy family. Who knew if someone would kidnap her? Benyi Tianzi nodded shyly. Benyi Tianzi had a good impression of Yu Yu since she saw him resisting the pressure of Mu Benyidong without fear at the training ground. In addition, Yu Yu himself was good-looking. Children of this age also began to have a good impression of the opposite sex. Yu Yu did not regard Benyi Tianzi as a peer. Instead, he regarded her as a child. After all, Yu Yu's mental age was that of an adult. Even if he thought Benyi Tianzi was very beautiful for a moment, he only looked at her with admiration. What he thought was how nice it would be to have such a lovely sister. The two walked on the brightly lit street. Benyi Tianzi and Yu Yu walked side by side, and to outsiders, they were really a pair of golden boy and jade girl. Some people even looked back at the two on the road. Both of them were very good-looking. Some passers-by even thought they were a couple. In this world, both men and women are a little precocious. There are many people who fall in love at this age. In addition, Benyi Tianzi's shy and slightly red face made it impossible not to misunderstand. Chapter 8. After they walked for a while, Benyi Tianzi summoned up the courage to talk to Yu Yu. Yu Yu, what do you think of Ino? Yu Yu was stunned for a moment, looking at Benyi Tianzi, a little curious about why she asked this question. What do you mean? Benyi Tianzi's face was red as if she had a cold and a fever. But she still asked the question that she cared about very much. Do you think she is very beautiful? And she is a girl from the Yamanaka clan. You boys must like such girls very much. In fact, Benyi Tianzi's appearance is better than Ino, and her personality is very quiet. Such girls are more popular with boys. Yu Yu didn't know what Benyi Tianzi's purpose was in asking this question. He actually always thought that Yamada Shuki and Ben Yitianzi had a special relationship. The reason why Ben Yitianzi was sent home today was because Yamada Shuki had something urgent to go home. Yu Yu thought about it and said, if you say Ino, she is naturally very beautiful. Ben Yitianzi was a little anxious after hearing this. Turning to look at Yu Yu, he said, then, do you like her? Yu Yu was stunned for a moment and said, we are friends, of course I like her. I'm not talking about the love between friends, do you like her? Love between men and women. Ben Yitianzi asked nervously. Of course not, I just met her today. Why do you ask that? Yu Yu looked at Ben Yitianzi curiously. After hearing Yu Yu's answer, Ben Yitianzi breathed a sigh of relief. Smiled and said, because I think she treats you more specially than other boys today. I can see that she seems to have a good impression of you. Yu Yu smiled and said, you think too much, Ino is like that to good-looking boys. Ben Yitianzi was stunned for a moment. She didn't expect Yu Yu to joke. Then she patted Yu Yu's shoulder and said, so you think you are very good-looking. Yu Yu smiled and said, am I not good-looking? Good-looking. Ben Yitianzi smiled. The two looked at each other and laughed. Under the street lights, their actions at this time seemed to be misunderstood. At this moment, the relationship between the two was indeed closer. For Yu Yu, Ben Yitianzi was the one he could joke with. And for Ben Yitianzi, she saw another side of Yu Yu. It turned out that Yu Yu was not as unapproachable and difficult to get along with as he seemed on the surface. The two soon arrived at Ben Yitianzi's door while chatting and laughing. Looking at the tall courtyard in front of him, Yu Yu teased, it's really a wealthy family. It turns out that the boy Shumu said it well. Tianzi, your family is really rich. In the center of Konoha village, where every inch of land is worth a lot of money, there is actually a large manor-like residence. It's not just ordinary wealth. In Konoha village, in addition to ninjas, there are actually many ordinary people. After all, ninjas don't work. Konoha village also needs ordinary people to maintain other aspects. At the same time, some wealthy people or nobles from the Land of Fire will live in Konoha village for safety reasons. This is also the source of employment for so many low-level tasks in Konoha village. Of course, the biggest source of income for Konoha village is the military expenditure allocated by the Fire country. Hearing what Yu Yu said, Ben Yitianzi was a little worried that Yu Yu would alienate her because of her family situation. She was so nervous that she even ignored her shyness and grabbed Yu Yu's hand and said, Yu Yu, you won't dislike me because of my family, right? Yu Yu looked at Ben Yitianzi's hands, and the white and tender hands made Yu Yu dazed for a moment. But soon, Yu Yu said, why do you think so? It's a good thing that your teammates are little rich women, why don't they like you because of this? Hearing what Yu Yu said, Ben Yitianzi breathed a sigh of relief. Said to Yu Yu, in the past, many people heard that I was from the Ben Yi family, and they were not willing to play with me. The older I get, the more so. They are all worried about hurting me. Since entering the ninja school, only Shumu is willing to play with me. Speaking of this, Ben Yitianzi was very depressed. Yu Yu patted her shoulder and said, from today on, you have one more friend. After all, we will fight side by side in the future. I hope I can trust you with my back. Feeling Yu Yu's seriousness, Ben Yitianzi nodded excitedly. Yu Yu, I will never hold you back in the future. Ben Yitianzi knew that her talent was not high. But Yu Yu seemed very strong. She just hoped that she would work harder in the future and not become a burden in the team. Yu Yu smiled and said, no, you and Shumu are both very good. Then I will go back first. It's too late. You go in quickly. Ben Yitianzi nodded, and regarded Yu Yu as an important person in her heart. Children's minds are like this, it is easy to like someone, and it is also easy to hate someone. Until now, Yu Yu still regards Ben Yitianzi as just a child. After Yu Yu left, Ben Yitianzi still stood in front of the gate until she could no longer see Yu Yu's back. Is that your teammate in the class? Benyi Tianzi, who was staring blankly at the direction where Yu left, suddenly heard a voice in her ear. She was startled. Turning around, it turned out to be her mother. Mom, why are you walking without making any sound? I was scared to death. Hanya Tadako's mother is called Senju, and Benya Tadako looks a bit like her. She is about 1.7 meters tall, with waist-length blonde hair tied in a ponytail. Although she is nearly 40 years old, she looks like she is in her 20s. She has a dignified and elegant temperament, and looks very beautiful. The most important thing is that her last name is Senju. If Yu were here, he would definitely be surprised. In his impression, he has never seen anyone with the last name Senju in Konoha. But he doesn't think that the Senju clan was exterminated. Such a powerful family, and with such a high reputation in the village, would want to. It is absolutely impossible to wipe out the clan in just a few decades. And if the clan is wiped out, it will definitely be mentioned as often as the Uchiha clan. But Yu has never heard of the Senju clan in Konoha village. So Yu guessed that the Senju clan just integrated into Konoha village. After all, Tsunade did not have the surname Senju, and it is estimated that many members of the Senju clan gave up the surname Senju. The fact is the same as Yu thought. There are indeed many members of the Senju clan in Konoha village who gave up the surname Senju. But it is only a part of it. However, after Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama, it is true that the Senju clan did not have many talented people like them. In addition to some people who gave up their surnames and chose to integrate into Konoha village, there are still many who still keep their surnames. They exist in all important departments of Konoha. It's just that Yu rarely came into contact with other people in Konoha village before, so he didn't find them. This is normal. Yu rarely comes into contact with people with the surname Sarutobi. He has only seen Sarutobi Asuma and the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen in so many years. But when the Fourth Ninja World War came, a lot of Sarutobi clan came out. In normal times, these families basically, ninjas don't appear on purpose. Those who appear in the plot are basically characters related to the plot. Other ninjas are busy with their own things, so they will naturally not be seen in the plot. You should know that there are more than 10,000 ninjas in Konoha village, and tens of thousands of ordinary civilians. The area of Konoha village is so large that it doesn't look like a village at all. It is completely a large city. The training ground alone has a diameter of 20 kilometers. You can imagine how big Konoha village is. Hanya Tadako's mother is a member of the Senju clan. Although she inherited the surname of Senju, she is not a ninja. Chapter 9. Benyi Tianzi looked at Yu who had disappeared long ago, and was reluctant to leave. Senju Ming saw what his daughter was thinking. Smiled and said, "It seems that you are a little different to this companion. What kind of person is he?" Hearing her mother's words, Benyi Tianzi blushed. A little embarrassed. What's different? What did mom say? Senju Ming smiled slightly and said, "Hee, then you just stared at that child. I have never seen you look at trees like this." Benyi Tianzi looked at the road where only the street lights were still on. Yu said, "I don't know him either. After all, I just met him." Senju Ming was a little confused. "Did you just meet? Isn't he in your class?" Senju Ming thought Yu was a transfer student. Konoha village does have students who transfer from other small ninja villages in the Land of Fire. The Land of Fire is not the only ninja village in Konoha village, but Konoha village is the largest and most powerful ninja village in the Land of Fire. In addition to Konoha village, there are many small ninja villages. Benyi Tianzi shook her head. "He is in our class, but I didn't notice him in the past 6 years, and I don't know him." "How is this possible? You have been in the same class for 6 years and you don't know each other. Haven't you said a word? Is that child very withdrawn?" Senju Ming didn't dare to believe it. Even if they were not familiar with each other after studying in the same class for 6 years, they should have at least said a few words. Benyi Tianzi turned to look at her mother and smiled. No, Yu didn't have much presence in the class before, even lower than mine. Senju Ming was shocked. It was really incredible. If it wasn't for her daughter saying it, she would never believe it. How could a person's presence be so low? Thinking of something, Senju Ming frowned slightly. Will that child be difficult to get along with? Senju Ming was a little worried about her daughter. In her cognition, students with such a low sense of presence are likely to be withdrawn, or even difficult to get along with. She was worried that her daughter would be hurt. But Benyi Tianzi shook her head and said seriously, "No, Yu is easy to get along with. Although I don't know why he was so invisible before, he has a good personality." When her daughter talked about Yu, her eyes were brighter than usual. She had a headache. Could it be that her silly daughter was emotional? Children in the Naruto world are relatively precocious. Although she just graduated from the ninja school, she already knows what emotions are. In addition, Benyi Tianzi's conditions are too good. Her father is a wealthy man in the land of fire, and her mother is a member of the Senju clan. Benyi Tianzi is also very beautiful. Although she is still young, she has grown very beautiful. It is normal for some little boys to have a good impression of her. Senju Ming asked carefully, "Then what do you feel about him, the same as trees?" Benyi Tianzi is not Naruto, she knows what her mother wants to ask. It's just that Benyi Tianzi is very entangled. She has just known Yu for one day. Although she has a good impression of him, it is not time to confirm it. It's just a good impression. After a moment of silence, she raised her head, thought for a while and said, "It's not the same. I regard trees as good friends, but I feel a little different about Yu. But I have only known him for one day. I don't know why I feel different about him." Senju Ming frowned, and what she was worried about still happened. "Maybe you are curious. After all, you didn't know him before, so you were curious about him, that's all." Senju Ming still doesn't want his daughter to be easily deceived by boys. From Senju Ming's point of view, this worry is very normal. Her family is different from ordinary families. Although it is not a ninja family, it is a wealthy family. In addition, she is from the Senju clan. Their family is not inferior to many ninja families in Konoha. It even belongs to the powerful class. If Benyi Tianzi just wanted to make friends, then whether it was Yamada Shuki or anyone else, Senju Ming would support it. But if she really fell in love, then it would be worth thinking about the other party's background and what the other party's purpose was. Benyi Tianzi looked at her mother's nervous look and smiled. "Mom, are you worried that your daughter will like Yu?" Senju Ming was embarrassed by being hit on the heart. But she nodded. "You know, our family is different from others. You are the only child in our family. You will inherit the Benyi family in the future. You must be very selective in choosing your partner to stop some accidents from happening." Han Yediko listened to her mother's words and sighed deeply. "Mom, why don't you and Dad give me another brother? I want to relax a little bit." This child, how can he talk like that? Qianju Ming's face was slightly red. She really likes Ben Yediko's father. At the beginning, she and Ben Yediko's father were in a free love relationship. The relationship between the two has always been very good. Ben Yediko smiled and said, "Although I'm not sure if I really like Yu, he does give me a different feeling from ordinary classmates. Somewhat mysterious, but when I'm with him, I feel very safe." Qianju Ming heard something wrong and asked, "Mysterious? Do you mean he is withdrawn?" "No, Yu always gives me a feeling that he is definitely not just what he looks like on the surface." Qianju Ming frowned. This is the issue she cares about most. Hurriedly asked, "Do you think he has plans for you?" Benyi Tianzi was stunned for a moment, then smiled slightly. Hee, Mom, if that's the case, do you think I will still have a good impression of him?" Although Benyi Tianzi has a quiet personality, similar to Hinata. But she is not as kind to everyone as Hinata. She has her own thoughts. If the other party approaches her because of her family, she will definitely not like it, and even be extremely disgusted. Senju Ming nodded. She still believes this, although her daughter seems to be very weak and introverted. She also has her own thoughts and ideas. Why is that? Why does he give you a very mysterious feeling? He is just an apprentice ninja who just graduated from the ninja school. Benyi Tianzi shook her head and said, Mom, I think he should be much better than me and my classmates. Oh, is he very good? Why didn't I see the third generation of Hokage mention him? I have impressions of the best children in this class, but I don't remember a child named Yu. As one of the top families in Konoha, Senju Ming naturally knows this information, not to mention that her baby daughter is among the students in this class. Chapter 10. Benyi Tianzi looked at her mother and said, That's why I said he was very mysterious. Before the class division, I didn't even know he existed, and no one noticed him. Senju Ming asked, You said he was very strong, how did you know that? Although he is not a ninja, he is from the Senju clan after all, so Senju Ming can still judge based on some information. Benyi Tianzi thought about today's assessment. Said, After the class division today, our instructor assessed us. It is a kind of mental ninjutsu. Shumyu and I almost didn't make it. Our spirits were about to collapse. But Yu didn't seem to be affected. After the assessment, the instructor said that the mental ninjutsu he applied was mainly on Yu, and we only felt the aftermath of the ninjutsu. Even so, Yu still didn't feel any pressure. Even the instructor was shocked. And when we told Asuma, he also felt incredible. Listening to his daughter's story, Senju Ming's brows tightened. This is incredible news. Hearing what you said, this child does have spiritual power beyond that of ordinary people. You should know that your teacher is a senior ninja from the Anbu. The spiritual power of ninjas from the Anbu is very strong. Even he did not make the child feel pressured. It can only mean that the child has spiritual power different from ordinary people, and people with such spiritual power often have extremely precise control of chakra, and may even have a very large amount of chakra. Thinking of this, Senju Ming's eyes condensed slightly. This is a great event. Although Senju Ming is not a ninja, she has a lot of information about the Senju clan and is very familiar with the principles of ninjutsu. In addition, the chakra amount of the members of the Senju clan is very large, so she knows very well that if a person has strong spiritual power, both the chakra amount and the control of chakra will be very strong. Because to resist the spiritual ninjutsu imposed by the senior ninja of the Anbu, not only does it require very precise control of chakra, but it also requires a huge amount of chakra to support the consumption. Otherwise, she would be like Sakura. Although she has very precise control over chakra, once the opponent's chakra exceeds her own, she will be unable to resist the illusion she casts on herself. How could such a person who has very precise control over chakra and a huge amount of chakra remain unknown for 6 years and even have no sense of existence? This is too strange. And he is just a child, and he has not been exposed for 6 years. This child's mind is a little different from that of ordinary people. Originally, Benyi Tianzi, who was only a little curious about Yu, listened to her mother's analysis and suddenly felt incredible. Looking at her, he asked, Mom, so Yu is really strong? Senju Ming looked at his daughter and said seriously, It's not certain yet, but as long as nothing unexpected happens, his future should be extraordinary. Because even the best ninja graduates do not have the ability to resist the mental ninjutsu of the Anbu Jonin and remain calm. Tansy, it seems that the child is really mysterious. Before you know his details, you'd better keep your distance from him. Although Benyi Tianzi was reluctant, she knew that her mother was doing it for her own good. And after listening to Senju Ming's analysis, she also felt that Yu's strength was beyond her cognition. Even if she liked Yu, she had to listen to her mother now. And Yu didn't know that the assessment had distanced the mother and daughter of Senju Ming from him. But even if he knew, he wouldn't care. He was mentally prepared when the assessment today exposed a little of his strength. After returning to his home, Yu did not practice chakra before going to bed as usual. Instead, He lay directly on the bed and looked at the ceiling. The consciousness has entered the consciousness space. You have been idle for a day, your chakra has doubled, and your physical fitness has doubled. You have acquired excellent learning ability. As long as your body and chakra are sufficient, you can learn any ninjutsu at the speed of the world's top geniuses. Yu Yu suddenly felt a tingling sensation in his body, and he almost cried out in comfort. His brain has also become clearer than before. It seems that the ninjutsu knowledge that confused him before is not only remembered clearly, but also fully understood. It seems that as long as someone teaches him ninjutsu, he can learn it just like Uchiha Itachi by watching a demonstration once. Come out of the consciousness space. Yu Yu looked at the ceiling in shock. Closing his eyes, he felt that his whole body was filled with chakra, and the rich and materialized chakra flowed through the meridians of his body. That feeling was really exciting. The chakra has doubled, and now my chakra volume has reached the level of an elite Jonin. My physical fitness should also reach the level of a physical skill Chunin. This improvement in strength is already extremely terrifying. You should know that there are very few ninjas who specialize in physical skills. The level of physical skills Chunin is already a level that very few people can reach among physical skills ninjas. It's a pity that I still don't know any ninjutsu, which is a bit embarrassing. Thinking that I only know the 3 body techniques, I'm afraid I'm not as good as a Chunin in actual combat. Yu Yu is now very eager to get a ninjutsu with practical value. After all, he got an on-hook system, and he must learn it before he can hang up. If you don't learn it, you don't know what to hang up. Now he is only very proficient in the 3 body techniques. But in actual combat, it is difficult to survive with just the 3 body technique. Not to mention that ninjas are professional killers. They will use any despicable and shameless means. If you only know the 3 body technique and want to fight against professional ninjas, you are courting death. Yu Yu is not so arrogant that he thinks he is strong enough to challenge the Jonin. He is not even sure that he can beat the Chunin. But the harvest tonight is already very good. With excellent learning ability, I should be able to learn some basic ninjutsu by just looking at it. After the mission is over tomorrow, go to the training ground to see if anyone is practicing ninjutsu. At least learn some basic offensive ninjutsu as a means of combat. I don't want to be a ninja of individual skills. Although the 8 gates of Dunjia is very strong. But let's not talk about whether Yu Yu has the opportunity to learn it. Even if he has the opportunity, he is unwilling to learn it. The ending of the 8 gates of Dunjia is too terrible, and he has no intention of learning it. What's more, it is Kai's unique skill, which will not be taught to others easily. Only Guy, Kakashi and Lee can learn the 8 gates. Kakashi is Guy's confidant, Lee is Guy's direct disciple. What is Yu Yu? Of course, Yu Yu didn't want to learn it. Chapter 11. At this time, Kimoto Tongi, who was resting at home, suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the balcony. He said coldly, "Captain, it seems that you know about the child." Just as Kimoto Tongi finished speaking, the figure of the person appeared on the balcony. "Tongi, I didn't expect you to be willing to come out of the Anbu to be an instructor," the person said calmly. Under the moonlight, the figure of this person appeared. If Naruto and the other 2 were here, they would definitely shout Kakashi teacher. And the person who appeared on the balcony was the instructor of the 7th team, Hitaki Kakashi. Hearing Kakashi's words, Kimoto Tongi walked to the balcony, leaned on the balcony, looked at the moonlight outside, and said faintly, "Aren't you out too? You have been in the dark for too long, and you really came out to bask in the sun." Kakashi looked at Kimoto Tongi. "It seems that you are very satisfied with the child," Kakashi said. "I am really satisfied, a very outstanding little guy." Thinking of Baitien Yeiyu's performance today, Kimoto Tongi rarely smiled. Kakashi looked serious. "You should know that he may not be as simple as you see," Kakashi reminded. Mugen Tongi turned his head and looked at Kakashi, and after a long time he said, "In my opinion, he is just a kid who doesn't like to join in the fun. It's not that simple or not. If he really has other thoughts, I won't be able to easily test it out. I think, Kakashi, you should be able to think clearly about this. Kakashi was stunned for a moment. Yes, if Yu really has any bad thoughts, it will not be easily tested by Mubantongi. Even so, you should be reserved about him. Mubantongi smiled. Don't you still believe in my ability? I used to be in the interrogation department. I knew at first sight that the child just doesn't like to show off. He is different from you. Even if you are the same age as him, I am afraid you will enjoy the praise of others. Kakashi was a little embarrassed. Don't look at Kakashi's silence now. Before Nohara Rin died, he was not like this now. After a long time, Kakashi asked, no matter what, I will keep an eye on that child. If there is any accident, I will intervene. Kakashi didn't want to say this sentence. After all, Yu is a student of Kimoto Tongi, and Kakashi's words have already made it clear that he wants to intervene. Most people would be unhappy to hear this. But Kimoto Tongi was not angry. He said calmly, whatever, if that child really threatens the village, I will destroy him myself. But before that, he is my student, I am very optimistic about him, and I will train him to be a strong man who protects the village. Although Kimoto Tongi was very serious with Yu and the other two during the day. But he was very satisfied with Yu. Originally, he didn't think about leading the team well, but the appearance of Yu made him think of training Yu into a strong man. In Kimoto Tongi's view, Yu is a genius, and a genius with a very stable personality. After Kakashi knew what Kimoto Tongtong was planning, he didn't say anything. He knew Kimoto Tongtong's strength very well. Although he was not very strong in the Anbu. After all, he was a member of the Anbu interrogation unit. But he was meticulous and cautious. Compared with ordinary ninjas, Kimoto Tongtong was the least likely to let Yu become a threat to the village. But he was also a little curious about Yu. After leaving Kimoto Tongtong, Kakashi came to Yu's home. For someone of Kakashi's status, it was too easy to investigate Yu's information. Similarly, he appeared on the balcony of Yu's house. But Yu was already asleep at this time, and Yu couldn't detect Kakashi's existence at this time. Although Yu's chakra amount was not much worse than Kakashi's. But that was just the chakra amount. In terms of actual combat experience and ninjutsu, he had no resistance at all in front of Kakashi. Now Yu's strength is at most close to Chunin. A bit stronger than the average genin, and can deal with ordinary Chunin at most. So he naturally couldn't detect Kakashi's existence. Standing on the balcony, looking at Yu who was sleeping in the room. After watching for a while, Kakashi pulled up his forehead protector, revealing his Sharingan. The three Magatamas rotated in a blood-red eyeball. In an instant, Kakashi saw the chakra flow on Yu's body. But when he saw the chakra flow on Yu's body, he was shocked. How can this happen? Maybe, how can this child's chakra be so terrifying? Kakashi almost lost his balance and fell off the balcony railing. The surging chakra on Yu made Kakashi feel terrified. Is this terrifying chakra really what a 12-year-old child should have? Although Naruto's chakra is much larger than Yu's, even hundreds of times more than Yu's. But you have to know that Naruto has the blood of the Uzumaki clan, plus the chakra of the Nine Tails, which is hundreds of times more than Yu. Although the Nine Tails chakra in Naruto is only part of the Nine Tails chakra leaked from the 8 diagrams seal. But it still makes Naruto's chakra reach hundreds of times that of Kakashi. Naruto is a special case. He has the blood of the Uzumaki clan and is the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, so he has so much chakra. For a normal ninja, whose parents are not from a ninja family, it is impossible for Yu to have so much chakra. Kakashi's expression became more and more solemn. His chakra is even 60% of mine, which is about 20 times that of Sasuke. The reason why Kakashi thought of Sasuke is because Sasuke's chakra is also different from that of ordinary ninjas. After all, Sasuke is from the Uchiha clan, and he is also the reincarnation of Indra. The Uchiha clan itself has a lot of chakra, second only to the Uzumaki clan and the Senju clan. As the reincarnation of Indra, Sasuke's chakra is much more than that of ordinary ninjas of the same age. Now he can even release the fire style, great fireball technique. This ninjutsu requires the consumption of chakra, which ordinary genin cannot provide at all. But even so, the amount of chakra is much more than Sasuke. It's not much more, it's about 20 times. Before meeting Kakashi just thought that might be a genius with a deep mind. Now, he thinks that even if is just a genius, he is obviously a monster. There is no reason for his chakra to be so much. I can't figure out why his chakra is so much. After taking a closer look, Kakashi was shocked again. No, it's not just a huge amount of chakra, but also the quality of this chakra is different. This chakra quality is unusual, and it is different from the ordinary chakra. What Kakashi didn't know was that the chakra in Yu's body was chakra condensed from natural energy. It was not ordinary chakra. If Jiraiya was here, he would definitely recognize it at once. It was Senjutsu chakra. Because Yu's chakra was chakra condensed from natural energy, and Senjutsu chakra was naturally formed in his body. And after the formation of Senjutsu chakra, his body did not become strange. Instead, it nourished his body better and better. It was getting closer and closer to the body of a sage. Chapter 12. The chakra in Yu is Senjutsu chakra, so although the amount of chakra is only at the level of elite Jonin, the quality has surpassed that of elite Jonin. Kakashi frowned and suddenly remembered something. Why does the chakra in this child look a bit like Jiraiya's chakra? No, it's the chakra when Jiraiya enters a certain state. Kakashi had seen Jiraiya enter sage mode before. The chakra in Yu now gives Kakashi the same feeling as when Jiraiya enters sage mode. This child really hides many secrets. Kakashi was a little entangled at this time. Logically speaking, he should report Yu's situation to the third generation. But after experiencing many things in the past and having been in the Anbu for so many years, Kakashi knew very well that once Yu's affairs were reported to the third generation, whether Yu posed a threat to the village or not, his future would not be easy. He might even become a specimen in the laboratory. Thinking of this, Kakashi calmed down. I hope you won't pose any threat to Konoha. Kakashi finally decided to hide Yu's situation. In Konoha, apart from the Hyuga clan, only Kakashi could see through the special chakra in Yu. As long as he didn't say it, even if Asuma told the third generation would not know the special chakra in Yu. After deciding not to say it, Kakashi disappeared from the balcony of Yu's house. Yu didn't know that he was almost reported to the third generation by Kakashi. But even if he knew, he wouldn't care. Originally, he was living a new life. He didn't care about how to go on. He didn't even care that he might be used as an experimental subject by the village. If you can resist, resist. If you can't resist, there is no need to care. Yu's mentality at this time is very calm. There is no great pursuit, and there is no bad. Just live a very ordinary life. The next morning, arriving at the training ground early, Yu did not feel that Benyi Tianzi was different from yesterday. Now she seemed to be a little distant from Yu. Yamada Shuki was the same as yesterday. He came close to Yu and whispered, Yu, did you and Tianzi say anything yesterday? Yamada Shuki asked gossipingly. Yu said lightly, what do you want to hear? Yamada Shuki smiled strangely and said a little meanly, you should know what I want to hear. Then there must be nothing. What are you thinking about? Yu felt a little speechless. He and Benyi Tianzi just met, how could they say anything intimate? Of course, even if he said it, he couldn't say it to Yamada Shuki. Yamada Shuki was a little disappointed. Can't you see that Tianzi has a good impression of you? You didn't seize such a good opportunity yesterday, you disappointed me so much. You don't think Tianzi is ugly? Yamada Shuki's words made Yu speechless. What are you talking about? Did your family really have problems yesterday? Yu was very suspicious. Yamada Shuki might have done it on purpose yesterday. There was nothing wrong at home. Yamada Shuki looked at Yu with disappointment. Don't ask. I'm very disappointed in you. You didn't seize such a good opportunity. Although Tianzi is not a ninja clan, it is also a wealthy family in the Land of Fire. She is beautiful, gentle, and has a good impression of you. If I were you, I would definitely confess yesterday. Yamada Shuki held his forehead and shook his head, seeming very disappointed. But Yu was full of black lines. What are you thinking about? Are you really 12 years old? Although I know that children in this world are precocious, they are not precocious to this extent. Yu suspected that Yamada Shuki was already in his 20s. Otherwise, how could he think so much? Even Yu hadn't thought about so many things. Yamada Shuki raised his hand and made a gesture not to talk to me. Disappointed, so disappointed. Yu, I am so disappointed in you. Yamada Mushi looked like an adult, which made Yu's mouth twitch slightly. You should focus on your training. If you were so serious when you were training, you wouldn't be so weak now. Yamada Mushi's strength is average among the graduates of this year. Of course, Yu is the same. But Yu's current strength is far above Yamada Mushi. And Benyi Tianzi stood aside, listening to the conversation between the two, blushing as if blood was dripping. But it was hard to say it out. After all, Yamada Mushi and Yu spoke very quietly. It was obvious that he didn't want her to hear. Did Yu have a heart? C didn't know, but she almost confessed to Yu last night. It's just that she didn't have the courage to say it at that time. Although she listened to her mother's words and distanced herself from Yu, she still had a good impression of Yu. While the three were talking, Yu suddenly noticed something. Buzz, buzz, ding, ding. There were several sounds of metal interweaving, and Yu stood in front of Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi, holding a kunai in his hand. And on the ground on both sides of him were several kunai and shuriken. Yu frowned and looked into the distance. Teacher Tongi, you are too much, we are just ninjas who have just graduated. Yu was a little unhappy. The attack just now was impossible for ordinary genin to defend against. If Yu didn't take action just now, with the strength of Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi, they would definitely be stabbed into hedgehogs. From the confused look on their faces, we can tell what will happen to them if Yu doesn't take action. Yu is very unhappy that Mubantangi almost injured or even killed Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi. After Yu finished speaking, Mubantangi came out from under a tree in the distance. He clapped his hands and said, "Yes, I guessed right. This level of attack is not a threat to you." Mubantangi didn't care about Yu's blame just now. At this time, Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi reacted. They were attacked by Mubantangi just now. Looking at the kunai and shuriken at the feet of the two felt cold in their hearts. If Yu hadn't taken action just now, or hadn't blocked it, the two might have died before they figured out what was going on. The two looked at Mubantangi. Since yesterday, they were very afraid of Mubantangi. The aura on his body, the pressure yesterday, and the surprise attack today, both of them felt the cruelty of Mubantangi's methods. The two looked at Yu's back. At this time, the two felt that Yu's back was so tall, like a mountain blocking them. But Yu's mood was not so good. In his opinion, Mubantangi's behavior did not take their lives seriously. Seeing Yu's angry face, Mubantangi slowly walked over. "Don't be so angry, just test your reaction ability, I won't put my students in danger." But Yu didn't accept this argument at all. But now that the three of them are fine, he can't say anything. But Yu didn't know that his action of resisting the kunai and shuriken shot by Mubantongi just now shocked Mubantongi. Chapter 13. Although the technique of throwing ninja tools is taught in ninja schools, and it is a basic skill, but ordinary ninjas do not have the actual combat ability of throwing ninja tools when they just graduate. Except for Kakashi, Uchiha Itachi, a genius, can have the actual combat ability of ninja tools at the age of 6 or 7. Just now, Kimoto Tangi used all his strength to launch kunai and shuriken, which is difficult for ordinary ninjas below the level of Chunin to resist. But Yu not only resisted it, but also reacted. He could even see clearly the flight trajectory of the kunai and shuriken he threw. It proves that Yu is not only physically strong and well coordinated, but also has a different perception and eyesight than ordinary people. At least Kimoto Tangi cannot achieve the same level at Yu's age. Yu doesn't know what Kimoto Tangi is thinking. He is just very dissatisfied with him. But it's just dissatisfaction, and Yu doesn't want to do anything. With his current strength, he can't do anything. Kimoto Tangi walked up to the three of them. He said, "Today I will take you to take the mission." Ben Yediko and Yamada Kiki, who were startled just now, were immediately excited when they heard that they were going to take the mission. They completely forgot how scared they were just now. "Really, teacher, can we take the mission now?" Kimoto Tangi nodded expressionlessly. "Of course, but during this period you can only take missions below sea level. When you are performing the mission, I will also train you. You must be mentally prepared. My training is very harsh," Kimoto Tangi suddenly said in a cold tone. He looked at Yu, with a slight smile on his face, "But I think you should be looking forward to it." Yu looked at Kimoto Tangi and frowned. "Teacher Tangi, you are only teaching 3 students who have just graduated from the ninja school. It is unnecessary to do the test just now." Mumoto Tangi patted Yu's shoulder. "You still care about it. Maybe the future life will not be easy for the two of them, but it should be a good thing for you." Yu knew what Mumoto Tangi meant. He was indeed looking forward to what ninjutsu Mumoto Tangi could teach him. It's just that he is not very friendly to Yamada Shuki and Ben Yitianzi. After all, the talents of the two are really average. If Mumoto Tangi is too strict with them, they will be very uncomfortable. Seeing Yu didn't speak, Mumoto Tangi smiled and said, "Let's go to the Hokage building to take the mission." Yamada Shuki and Ben Yitianzi didn't notice the conversation between Mumoto Tangi and Yu. The two were still happy to be able to officially take the mission. And just after the 4 left, on a tree in the training ground, Kakashi, who was supposed to take the 7th team to take the mission, stood on the tree, holding a novel in his hand. His attention was no longer on the book. He had been paying attention to Kimoto's test of Yu. Yu's performance also surprised him. Even though Yu and the others had left, Kakashi still muttered to himself, "Not only does he have a huge amount of chakra, his body's reaction is much more sensitive than ordinary ninjas, and his eyesight is comparable to me with the Sharingan." Kakashi felt that even an ordinary Chunin would not be able to react to the kunai and shuriken fired by Kimoto just now. Even if he knew, he couldn't react, couldn't detect the flight trajectory of the ninja tools, and couldn't stop it. And this kind of reaction and eyesight are not what ordinary ninjas can have. Even Kakashi suspected that Yu's eyesight just now was comparable to his own with the Sharingan. "I don't know if this guy can learn my Chidori." Kakashi thought of Yu's eyesight comparable to the Sharingan, and his agile skills. It is indeed very suitable for his Chidori. It's just that Chidori is an A-level forbidden technique after all. Not to mention that Yu has nothing to do with him, nor is he his disciple. Even if he really wants to teach Yu, he probably wouldn't dare to teach. Forbidden techniques are not only powerful and lethal, but the most important thing is that they are very harmful to the caster and very dangerous. So even if Kakashi is willing to teach Yu, Kakashi has to weigh the danger. The reason why Kakashi teaches Sasuke, in addition to being his student, is that Sasuke has the Sharingan. Even if he has the Sharingan, it took him a month of special training to learn it. Looking at Yuyu's back, Kakashi murmured to himself, if you really have no bad intentions towards the village, you are indeed a person worth training. If you are trained well, maybe you will be the next fourth generation. Kakashi's vigilance against Yuyu has been reduced a lot at this time. The reason for this change is that he saw Yuyu was angry because Mubantongi hurt his teammates. When Yuyu was angry just now, his emotions were real. He knew that Yuyu was a person who cherished his teammates, at least he was willing to believe in such a person. Yuyu reminded him of his past self. No, he didn't do as well as Yuyu back then. After all, he had been in decline for a long time back then. I really envy Tongi for being so lucky to have picked up such a good seedling. In Kakashi's opinion, as long as Yuyu didn't die halfway, his achievements in the future would not be inferior to Kakashi himself. Kakashi felt a headache when he thought of his 3 problem students. Although Sasuke and Naruto have great potential. One is from the Uchiha clan and has opened the Sharingan. One is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki and has the blood of the Uzumaki clan. But these 2 people are not so easy to lead. Even the purpose of the 3rd generation handing these 2 people over to him was to use Sasuke's Sharingan to contain Naruto. It's just that both Sasuke and Naruto have weird personalities. In comparison, he felt that maybe Yuyu might be easier to teach. At least Yuyu looked much more mature. Shaking his head, Kakashi disappeared from the training ground. Soon, Yuyu and the other 4 came to the Hokage building. The 3rd generation didn't see anything special about Yuyu. And neither Asuma, Kakashi, nor Kimoto told the 3rd generation about Yuyu. Coming out of the Hokage building, several people met Team 7 who were also going to take a mission. Seeing Yuyu, Naruto greeted him happily. Hey, Yuyu, what mission did you take? Naruto ran to Yuyu's side and asked with a smile. It's just a D-level mission. After all, it was the first time to take a mission. It's impossible to take a difficult mission. Naruto didn't understand this. He smiled and said, D-level mission, we will definitely get a C-level mission this time. Yuyu didn't say anything, just said, then I wish you good luck. Kakashi's eyes were always on Yuyu. Yuyu's performance made him very satisfied. In his opinion, Yuyu was definitely the student he wanted most. Mainly because their personalities were more compatible. Sasuke, who was standing next to Kakashi, looked at Yuyu with some doubts. He didn't have a deep impression of Yuyu. He didn't even remember that he and Yuyu were in the same class. The same was true for Sakura. But when she saw Yuyu, she was still amazed. She looked calm on the surface, but she was thinking in her heart, he looks no worse than Sasuke. Who is he? He seems to be very familiar with Naruto. How could such a person have such a good relationship with Naruto? Chapter 14. In Sakura's mind, Naruto's popularity is not good. Kimoto Tongi just glanced at Kakashi, nodded slightly as a greeting, and left with the 3 people. Kakashi's eyes made Kimoto Tongi speechless. He thought, is Kakashi targeting Yuyu? He thought Kakashi was targeting him because Yuyu hid his strength. If he knew that Kakashi envied him, Kimoto Tongi would probably be alert. After all, everyone wants a good student. After Yuyu and the other 4 left, Sakura looked at Kakashi in confusion. Teacher Kakashi, who is that person? Sakura saw that Kakashi had been staring at Yuyu just now. She thought Kakashi and Yuyu were very familiar with each other. Kakashi turned around and said lightly, a very interesting guy, let's go in. Kakashi was not willing to explain too much to Sakura. Sasuke felt that Yuyu brought him a little pressure from the beginning. This was a feeling he had never had before. Before, Sasuke had always been the top of his class in the ninja school, and he never took other people seriously. It was impossible for a classmate to put pressure on him. Unexpectedly, just after the contact just now, he felt that Yu would become his opponent in the future. Kakashi didn't say it, but Naruto smiled and said to Sakura, "That's Team 11. The one who looks only slightly worse than me is called Yu. He is my friend." Although they just met not long ago, Naruto still regarded Yu as his friend. He didn't seem to notice Yu's alienation from him. Hearing Naruto's words, Sakura rolled her eyes at him. "Stupid Naruto, you are too thick-skinned." In Sakura's heart, Yu's appearance is comparable to Sasuke. Even if it weren't for Sasuke's special status in her heart, she might think that Yu's appearance is better than Sasuke. On the other side, Yu and his friends came to the back mountain of Konoha. Looking at the big waterfall in front of them, Yamada Shuki and Ben Yediko looked depressed. "Teacher, why did we receive such a task? And the garbage is under the waterfall, how can we pick it up?" The task of several people is to clean up the garbage in the lake behind the mountain of Konoha. After all, they are just newcomers, so they will naturally not receive combat missions. It's just that there is a waterfall with a height of 40 to 50 meters upstream of the lake in front of them. And the water flow is very fast, and the impact is very large. It's a headache to think about cleaning up the garbage under the waterfall. Mubintang said expressionlessly, "Today I will teach you how to use chakra to step on the lake without falling." Hearing Mubintang's words, Yamada Shuki and the two who had originally looked bitter instantly regained their vitality. "Really, teacher, what ninjutsu are you going to teach us?" Yu looked at Mubintang and saw that he was also looking at him. Treading water. It is indeed a very basic, but very useful ninjutsu. Although it is basic, Yu really doesn't know it. Before, because of his average talent, he didn't practice it. Yu was looking forward to it now. Seeing Yu showing interest, Mubintang smiled and said, "Come with me to the lake, I'll show you how to do it." The group came to the water's edge, and the water flow was very calm away from the waterfall. This is a good place to practice. Mubintang stretched out his foot and stepped slowly on the water. Watch carefully, when your feet are on the water, control the chakra in your body to attach to the bottom of your feet. Pay attention to controlling the amount of chakra, so that the chakra can just support your body, more or less is not allowed. You still need to practice and master this amount. Mubintang was already standing on the water. It was like stepping on the ground, very stable, and did not fall into the water. This scene stunned Yamada Shuki and Ben Tianzi. "Wow, teacher, you actually stood on the water without falling. This is too amazing." Neither of them came from a ninja family, and had never seen this kind of ninjutsu. Yu was also a little surprised to see him standing steadily on the water. There is still a difference between imagining and actually seeing. Yamada Shuki couldn't help but try it first. He walked to the lake and carefully gathered the chakra under his feet. Although Mubin Yidung had demonstrated it just now and explained the principle, Yamada Shuki was still a little nervous when he tried it himself. He stepped on the water nervously. Just when he was about to exert force, he stepped on the air and fell into the water. "It's so difficult, teacher, how did you do it so easily?" Standing up from the water and wiping his hair, Yamada Shuki looked at Mubin Yidung with embarrassment. Originally wanted Tobin Yediko, who tried it, also got scared when she saw Yamada Mushi's look. "Is it difficult? I see the teacher did it very easily, and the principal doesn't seem difficult either." Ben Yediko looked at Yamada Mushi and asked. Yamada Mushi walked out of the water to the shore and smiled bitterly. "It's impossible to do it. The principle seems very simple, but it's very difficult to master the appropriate amount of chakra." Mubin nodded. "Yes, although you haven't learned it, you also know the true core of this ninjutsu. The most important thing is to master the appropriate amount of chakra. You need to control the chakra more accurately. I can't help you with this. You need to train and explore it yourself." Yamada Mushi nodded. "It's too difficult. I guess it will take a long time to master it." Yamada Mushi felt that it was too difficult to do it. Just now I didn't even feel that my body could stand on the water for even a moment, just like when I didn't condense chakra. Teacher, how long did it take you to master this ninjutsu? Yamada Shuki was very curious about how long it took Kimoto Ichi to master it. Because Kimoto Ichi was a Jonin, and those who could become Jonin were all geniuses since childhood. Because Jonin was already the top fighting force of a village. Even in the 5 major ninja villages. There were not many Jonin in the 5 major ninja villages, and each of them was a leader in various fields. Kimoto Ichi said calmly, 2 days. 2 days. Even you, the teacher, need 2 days, so we may need more than 10 days. Although the ninja talent was average, Yamada Shuki was very familiar with the theory of ninjutsu. He also knew that his talent must be far inferior to Kimoto Ichi. Ben Yetazi originally wanted to give it a try, but after hearing what Yamada Shuki said, she retracted her foot. Her talent was similar to Yamada Shuki's. Teacher, what should we do with the garbage? Ben Yetianzi pointed at the garbage under the waterfall. She felt timid when she saw the terrifying impact of the waterfall. The water flow with a drop of dozens of meters could kill people. Mu Bentongi shook his head and said, you have to figure out a solution for this. This is also the purpose of this mission. If you can't handle such a simple thing, you will be killed when facing a powerful enemy in the future. Chapter 15. Mu Bentongi's cold voice startled Yamada Shuki and Ben Yetiko. Yeyu looked at the two and shook his head. Teacher, don't scare them. Standing on the water, Mu Bentongi looked at Yeyu and smiled. Why, don't you try it? Mu Bentongi wanted to know if Yeyu had learned it. Yamada Shuki and Ben Yetiko also looked at Yeyu. Both of them already knew that Yeyu was a little stronger than them. They were also looking forward to whether Yeyu could learn this ninjutsu. Yeyu was stunned for a moment. In fact, he completely understood it when Mu Bentongi just explained the principle. He even calculated how much chakra was needed. But he didn't know if he could really do it. Yeyu was also curious whether he had mastered it. Mu Bentongi said, try it. Yeyu nodded. Walked to the water's edge and circulated the chakra in his body. In an instant, chakra flowed through the meridians in his body. With his eyes slightly fixed, Yeyu stepped on the water. The originally calm water surface was dented by Yeyu's foot. Just when the three thought that Yeyu was going to fall into the water, the puddle he stepped on rose again. He lifted Yeyu's body on it. Then Yeyu stepped on the water with both feet, without any sign of falling into the water. Oh my god, Yeyu, have you learned it before? Yamada Shuki was stunned when he looked at Yeyu. Yeyu succeeded on the first try, which made him doubt whether Yeyu had learned it before. Ben Yetianzi was even more full of indescribable light. Mu Bentongi was also stunned. You learned it. Yeyu was also a little surprised. Although he knew that his physical fitness had improved and his chakra amount had also increased a lot. But he didn't expect to succeed on the first try. At this moment, Yeyu finally knew how terrifying the excellent learning ability given by the system was. You know, even a genius like Sasuke took a whole day to learn tree climbing, which is similar to treading water. And he was bruised from practicing. Although he was also very surprised, Yeyu quickly regained his composure. I don't know how I learned it. Listening to Yeyu's words, coupled with his innocent expression, the three people's mouths twitched slightly. If it wasn't inappropriate, I'm afraid the three of them would want to beat Yeyu into a pig's head. But what the three didn't know was that Yeyu was telling the truth. The moment Mu Bentongi finished explaining the principle, his brain had deconstructed all the details of this ninjutsu. All the variables and all were calculated clearly. The rest was to output chakra according to the results in his mind. And his chakra control was very terrifying. So he learned it all at once. Mu Bentongi came back to his senses. Although he was shocked, he calmed down his heart. He thought to himself that genius was incomprehensible to him. But if Kakashi knew what he was thinking, he would definitely say, "No, this is not a genius, this is a demon." Back then, Kakashi spent a whole day practicing treading water. Even though he was only 6 years old at that time. But you have to know that Kakashi was from the Hitaki clan, and he had inherited the skill since he was a child, and he started practicing since he was a child. Yu Yu has only started practicing now. Before, Yu Yu only knew the 3-body technique. Yu Yu's talent is incomprehensible. No matter how talented a person is, it is absolutely impossible to master this kind of ninjutsu that requires precise chakra control in one go. Mubentangi said tremblingly, "Have you really never learned it before?" Yu Yu shook his head. "I learned the 3-body technique in school before, and this is the only ninjutsu I have mastered." "Then it seems that your previous experience in the ninja school has delayed your development." Mubentangi said this very sincerely. He really felt that the few years in the ninja school delayed Yu Yu's development. It's just that if you don't show your talent in the ninja school, your talent can't be discovered. Mubentangi smiled bitterly. Yamada Muki and Ben Yediko nodded in agreement. Yes, Yu Yu was too unknown in school. If you show your talent in school, I'm afraid even Sasuke won't be your opponent. Yu Yu waved his hand. "I don't want to cause trouble. Don't you see how many people Sasuke has to deal with every day?" Listening to Yu Yu's words, Mubentangi asked, "Is this why you don't want to show your talent?" Yu Yu nodded. "Yes, why should I cause trouble for myself? I have to stay in the ninja school for 6 years. Of course, this is a lie. The real reason is that Yu Yu's talent was very average before, and he really didn't have any talent. But even if he had a good talent before, he will also be like what he said, and will not show his talent in the ninja school. It's not that he is worried that the 3rd generation and Danzo will harm him. But he doesn't want to be in trouble." This is also what Yu Yu really said, so he was very sincere when he said it. Let Mubentangi believe it. But he didn't expect that Yu Yu hid his talent in the ninja school for such a simple reason. Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi both thought that Yu Yu was outrageous. If they had Yu Yu's talent, they would have been little bullies in the ninja school. It is difficult for children to refuse to show off their uniqueness in front of their classmates. Mubentangi shook his head and smiled bitterly. He had guessed so much before, but he didn't expect that the real reason why Yu Yu hid his talent was so simple. He really believed it. Because Yu Yu said it too sincerely. He used to be in charge of interrogation in the Anbu. He could see that Yu Yu was not lying. After knowing Yu Yu's thoughts, Mubentangi really let down his vigilance against Yu Yu. Really treated him as his student. "Okay, now that you have learned it, go to a place with water flow and try to see if you can walk." Mubentangi wanted to know where Yu Yu's limit was. Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi also looked at Yu Yu with expectation. Although they did not learn it. But they were also happy to see Yu Yu become stronger, so that they would have someone to lean on when they were carrying out missions in the future. Yu Yu nodded and slowly walked towards the water flow. The moment Yu Yu approached the water flow, various data appeared in his brain. All these data were data from different positions calculated by Yu Yu's brain in an instant. And his body was also outputting the same chakra at the same time. The 3 people standing on the shore watched Yu Yu walk to the water flow and still stand steadily on the water. They were all stunned. Even Mubentangi looked at Yu Yu with eyes wide open in disbelief. This guy is a monster. Although Yamada Shuki and Ben Yediko didn't know how outrageous Yu Yu was at this time, they still felt his horror. "Teacher, is it more difficult to stand on the water in a place with water flow than in a place without water flow?" Mubentangi's mouth twitched slightly. "Nonsense, think about whether the chakra required in a place with water flow is dynamic. It can be said that standing on the water surface with water flow is 10 times more difficult than standing on the water surface without water flow. Even for me, it took me about 10 days to barely stand on the water surface with water flow. This guy is simply a monster." Mubentangi looked solemn. He felt that he would not be able to teach Yu for a long time. Yu could master such a difficult ninjutsu so quickly, and learning other ninjutsu would only be easier. Because treading water requires very precise control of chakra. It is even more difficult than learning AC level ninjutsu. You can imagine how terrifying Yu is. Chapter 16. Yu did not stop in the middle of the lake. Instead, he walked towards the bottom of the waterfall. He also wanted to test his limit. But Mu Bentong was shocked when he saw Yu walking towards the bottom of the waterfall. He hurriedly stopped him. Yu, that's enough, don't go any further, it's too dangerous. But Yu did not stop. The closer he got to the waterfall, the faster his heartbeat was due to the sound of the waterfall hitting the lake and the splashing water. But he still had the courage to test his limit. Mu Bentong saw that Yu did not stop, but was getting closer and closer to the bottom of the waterfall, so he ran towards Yu anxiously. But he stopped when he was a few meters away from Yu. Because he saw Yu's serious look. He knew Yu's purpose. Although he was very worried, he still respected Yu's will. Boom, boom, boom. Listening to the roar of the waterfall hitting the water, the splashing water even wet Yu's clothes. But he still walked towards the place where the waterfall hit with an expressionless face. At this time, his body rose and fell with the turbulent waves. But he still stepped steadily on the water. Under his feet, the chakra was tightly attached to the water. When he was only 5 or 6 meters away from the place where the waterfall fell, Yu stopped. It was not that he fell into the water, but that the splashing water of the waterfall was too big. The splashes kept hitting his body, making it difficult for him to move forward. But Yu also tested his limits. Haha, even if I walk into the center of the waterfall, I won't fall into the water, but I will be thrown into the water by the waterfall. Yu knew very well that although he could stand firmly on the turbulent water surface, the terrifying water flow of the waterfall would throw him into the water. The power of the waterfall is too strong. He couldn't bear it with his body right now. After all, he was just testing his limit of treading water, not risking his life. Yu didn't want to die here. After taking a few steps back, Yu turned around and looked at Mu Bentong, who was alert and ready to rush over to save people at any time. At this moment, Yu truly recognized his teacher. Although his personality was very cold, Yu could feel that he was very worried about him. Yu smiled. Teacher, it seems that I have mastered it. Mu Bentong breathed a sigh of relief. Walking towards him, Mu Bentong patted his shoulder at the wet clothes. You are too arrogant. Even if you want to test your limit, it's too risky. You are just a newcomer now. The power of this waterfall is something you can't bear now. Yu didn't say anything, just smiled. The two returned to the shore. Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi were already stunned. At this moment, the two still had in their minds the image of Yu walking towards the center of the raging waterfall. At that time, Yu was like a god. The two did not expect that the gap between them and Yu would be so big. Mom, Yu is definitely not someone who cannot be trusted. At this moment, Benyi Tianzi had denied her mother's words that she should stay away from Yu. Yamada Shuki was full of admiration for Yu. The scene just now was so shocking that he couldn't believe that Yu, like him, was a newcomer who had just graduated from the ninja school. Yu, how did you do it? I was really scared just now. I just didn't expect you to be able to stand steadily on the water in that situation. Yu didn't say anything, but just smiled slightly. Because Yu had mastered the ninjutsu of treading water, the work of cleaning up the garbage in the lake was much simpler afterwards. Even if it was garbage next to the waterfall, Yu could use a kunai tied with a wire to hook it out. In the ninja school, in addition to the three-body technique, Yu also practiced the ninja tool throwing technique very well. After the chakra restriction was unlocked and he gained excellent learning ability, he played the ninja tool to perfection. I am afraid that Mubantongi's ninja tool throwing technique may not be as proficient as Yu. After working all afternoon, the garbage in the lake was finally cleaned up. The three sat under the tree on the shore to rest. Yamada Shumu and Ben Tianzi were sweating profusely, but Yu didn't feel tired except that his clothes were wet. He might be able to complete today's task faster by himself. But the task must be done by the three of them to achieve the goal. Whether the task is completed is not very important. What is important is that Yu and others can get exercise. It's very tiring. This kind of task is relatively simple, there is no danger. Wait until you receive the combat mission to really feel, okay, it's getting dark, after we hand in the mission, I'll treat you to a barbecue. Yamada Shuki, who was originally exhausted and panting, jumped up immediately after hearing about the barbecue. Long live the teacher, let's go to the barbecue. Eating barbecue is a relatively high consumption even for ninjas. If you eat a lot, you can even drain the wallet of a senior ninja. Of course, none of the three Yu can eat as much as Choji. Yu also stood up and said with a smile, "Teacher, it's rare to be so generous." Ben Tianzi also stood up with Yu. "Well, I used to think that the teacher was a difficult person to get along with." Mubantongi didn't say anything. Mubantongi was indeed a very difficult person to get along with in the past, very serious. It was just because the three of them were the first batch of students he taught, and he was particularly satisfied with Yu, and even wanted to accept Yu as his own disciple. Naturally, he treated the three of them differently from others. After completing the task and eating the barbecue, Yu went home to rest. Lying on the bed, Yu sank his consciousness into the consciousness space. Your control over chakra has doubled. You have obtained 5 types of chakra today. Hearing the reward, Yu almost jumped out of bed. Oh my god, 5 types of chakra. This reward is too generous. In this case, don't I have all the attributes of chakra? Only the 2 chakra attributes of yin and yang are missing, but even without those 2 attributes of chakra, the 5 attributes of chakra alone are rare. Quote. In the entire ninja world, there are very few ninjas with all attribute chakras. Otherwise, Kakuzu wouldn't have killed so many ninjas, wasn't it just to obtain 5 attribute chakras? I didn't expect to get it all at once now, how could Yu not be excited? Before, Yu didn't know what his chakra attribute was, but now it doesn't matter. He now has all 5 attributes of chakra. This means that in the future, he can learn all ninjutsu except those that require the use of yin and yang attributes. At this time, Yu was more excited than getting the ability to remove chakra restrictions. After all, full attribute chakras are the standard for the protagonists of the 4 ninja world wars. Although Naruto's chakra attribute is wind attribute, in the end he and Sasuke both have chakras of all attributes. According to this level, it is not impossible to obtain yin and yang chakra attributes in the future. This hang-up system is really a bit scary. It's called hang-up, but I didn't expect it to have more than just hang-up functions. Yu didn't expect the hang-up system to provide him with so many abilities. Chapter 17. At Kimoto's home. Kakashi appeared on his balcony again. Kimoto looked at the figure on the balcony and shook his head. Kakashi, it's not like my house doesn't have a door. Kakashi didn't care about Kimoto's complaints. Looking at the moonlight outside, he asked lightly, it seems that you are very satisfied with that boy. I have never seen you attend a dinner party before. Kimoto came to the balcony. It seems that you are also concerned about that boy. But you should also know that he is my student. Kimoto looked at Kakashi. Kakashi smiled. Why are you so nervous? Are you still worried that I will snatch him away? I do worry, after all, that boy is much better than I expected. I think the person in the woods today is you. Kimoto discovered Kakashi's existence today. After all, Kimoto was once a senior ninja in the Anbu. Although he was in the interrogation department, his perception ability was his strong point. If your students knew that you were using a shadow clone to lead students, they would probably be sad. Besides, none of your students are simple. Kakashi didn't care about Kimoto Tangi's teasing. Haha, that kid has changed you a lot. You wouldn't have said that before. Kakashi sighed. Yes, that kid made me realize that if I don't teach him well, I will regret it for the rest of my life. Kakashi didn't deny it. Kakashi was a little surprised. He didn't expect Kimoto Tangi to admit it so bluntly, nor did he expect that in his heart, Yu Yu's status would be so high. But when he thought of Yu Yu walking towards the waterfall today without fear, even if he would be hit by the waterfall and fall into the water at any time, he would not be afraid. Kakashi admitted that he envied Kimoto Tangi. That guy's talent is even much stronger than mine. Kakashi smiled bitterly. Kakashi was once a super genius of Konoha. He graduated from the ninja school at the age of 5, was promoted to Chunin at the age of 6, and became a Jonin at the age of 12. Later, he became famous in the ninja world as Sharingan Kakashi. He is a well-deserved genius in the ninja world. Even Uchiha Itachi is slightly inferior. It's still not as good as yours. You became a Jonin when you were 12 years old, and now he is just a newcomer. Mugen Tangi said. Come on, if he had my resources, I'm afraid he would have become a Jonin now. The 6 years in the ninja school delayed him. Kakashi said. Kakashi always thought that Yu Yu's ability to hide his talent in the ninja school was unwise. But when I think of Yu Yu's ability to hide his talent so well without vanity at such a young age. Even he can't do it. He didn't need to do that back then. What are you going to teach him? Are you going to teach him ninjutsu now? Kakashi looked at Mugen Tangi. Kimoto Tangi was silent for a while. I haven't decided yet. In fact, I think my ninjutsu is not suitable for him. Most of my ninjutsu are related to interrogation. I don't want him to enter the Anbu in the future. Kimoto Tangi sighed, although he wanted to teach Yu Yu many powerful combat ninjutsu. But he really doesn't know how to do it. In addition to some basic attribute ninjutsu, he doesn't know powerful combat ninjutsu. I really don't know what else I can teach him after teaching him basic ninjutsu. Kakashi looked at Kimoto Tangi's embarrassment, and after a while of silence, he said, if you want, I can help you. Kimoto Tangi was very surprised, and looked at Kakashi with surprise. You help me, aren't you afraid that the Hokage will have an opinion? After all, the third generation handed Sasuke and Naruto to Kakashi just to let him teach them well. If Kakashi is distracted by Yu Yu, the third generation will definitely have an opinion. Then just don't let him know. We will basically be carrying out missions in the village during this period. With the child's talent, I am confident that he can have the ninjutsu strength of a senior ninja before he can go out on missions. Kimoto Tangi looked at Kakashi, a little unbelievable. Although he knew that Kakashi might be optimistic about Yu Yu. But he didn't expect him to do this for Yu Yu. You know, Kakashi also has a nickname called Copy Ninja. Relying on the Sharingan, Kakashi has mastered thousands of ninjutsu. But he still hopes that he can teach Yu Yu ninjutsu. But when he thought that except for a few B-level ninjutsu, all his A-level ninjutsu were related to interrogation. It would be useless for Yu Yu to learn it. Do you have any requirements? Kimoto Tangi knows very well that there is no such thing as a free lunch. My request is very simple. When we go out on missions in the future, I sometimes need to borrow him. Kimoto Tangi was stunned for a moment. You don't want to take him out to perform dangerous missions, do you? Kakashi nodded. You should know that a strong man cannot be raised in a greenhouse. When I was 12 years old, I followed the fourth generation to perform missions. He is him, you are you were trained at the beginning. No matter how talented he is just a newcomer who just graduated from the ninja school. Which of the missions you performed was below B level? I don't want my students to take risks with you. Kimoto Tangi was very excited. Kakashi was really unreliable. The missions Kakashi mentioned were naturally not the missions he went out with Naruto and the others. They were the missions Kakashi took on himself. Kakashi is an elite Jonin of Konoha, and one of the strongest ones. The missions he took would be dangerous even for ordinary Jonin to follow him. Although Yu has a strong talent, he doesn't know any ninjutsu now, and he hasn't even participated in a real battle. How could Kimoto Tangi be willing to let him follow Kakashi to take risks? But Kakashi also has his considerations. Tangi, you should know that letting him experience real danger early will be good for his future growth. In fact, he should have been let out a long time ago. It's even a little late now. Kimoto Tangi still didn't want to. I won't agree. I hope to wait step by step until he has enough strength, and then I will let him go with confidence. Kakashi shook his head. You are wrong to think so. He is different from ordinary people. Step by step will only make him mediocre. Do you want him to become an ordinary ninja? But I don't want him to die before me. Kimoto Tangi said with his eyes wide open. He really regards Yu as his student. Even if his actions will make Yu mediocre in the future, he doesn't want Yu and Kakashi to carry out life-threatening missions. Chapter 18. Yi-tong, calm down. I'll protect him with me. Kakashi was helpless. It was the first time he saw Kimoto Yi-tong so emotional. He could understand. Kimoto Yi-tong really regarded Yu as his disciple. How many colleagues died with you? Although the ninjas in the Anbu should have realized that day, I don't want him to join the Anbu. I just want him to become a ninja who protects the village in the future and live freely under the sun. Kakashi was silent. Kimoto Yi-tong's words reminded him of Uchiha Obito and Nohara Rin. This has been his heart knot for so many years. He is different from others. I bring him with me to help him grow, not to really treat him as a teammate on a mission. If there is a very dangerous mission, I won't bring him with me. That's fine. Kakashi has taken a step back. But Kimoto Tangi still shook his head. Impossible, don't think about it. I will never let him go out without the ability to protect himself. Tangi, you have really changed a lot. You were not like this before. Kimoto Tangi looked at Kakashi. Have you not changed? You are completely different now than when you were in the Anbu. After that, both of them were silent. Yes, both of them have changed. Because of Yu. Because both of them knew that with Yu's talent, as long as he was taught well, he would definitely become a powerful force to protect the village in the future. It's just that the two disagreed on the teaching method. Yu didn't know all this. Of course I won't take him out to perform tasks without him having enough self-protection ability. How about we make an agreement? When he has the strength to defeat you, I will take him out. Kakashi looked at Kimoto Tangi and said seriously. Kimoto Tangi thought about it and nodded. The reason why he agreed is that Kimoto Tangi is not a combat-type ninja. In terms of fighting, he is just like an ordinary Jonin. But as long as he is defeated, it will at least prove that Yu has the strength of a Jonin. If the conversation between the two is heard by others, they will definitely think that they are dreaming. After all, Kimoto Tangi is a Jonin, and Yu is just a newcomer who has just graduated from the ninja school. Let alone whether Yu can defeat Kimoto Tangi, it is still unknown whether Yu can become a Jonin. After all, no matter which ninja village, Jonin is the best among ninjas. Not everyone can be one. As long as you become a Jonin, regardless of whether you are a combat ninja, your basic strength is at the level of a normal Jonin. And the ninjas who can become Jonin are 1 in 1,000. Even in the 5 major ninja villages, the number of Jonin is no more than 100. In other words, Kakashi means that Yu has the strength to defeat Jonin in less than a year. This is simply a fantasy. Normal people will think it is a dream. Kakashi and Kimoto Dodoshi, who knew about Yu's talent, thought it was normal. Both of them thought that Yu could have the strength of a Jonin when he could go out to perform tasks. And the general rookie team in Konoha village can go out to perform tasks after performing tasks in the village for 3 months. After completing another D-level task the next day, Yu mastered the ninjutsu of climbing trees. Because of the pressure from Yu, Yamada Shuki and Benyi Tianzi worked very hard. It's just that their talents are average, so they can't master the several ninjutsu taught by Kimoto Dodoshi yet. On the way home at night, Yu suddenly stopped on a street. With a strong perception ability, he looked at the empty street with a solemn expression. Although he didn't see a figure, Yu always felt that it would be very dangerous if he walked over. Just when Yu was about to turn around and take a detour, dozens of kunai and shuriken suddenly flew towards him. The sound of kunai and shuriken breaking the wind made Yu secretly think that it was not good. Buzz tilde. Ding ding ding. In an instant, he saw dozens of kunai and shuriken about to hit him. Yuyu's eyes narrowed slightly, and in the blink of an eye, his figure disappeared from the spot. Dozens of kunai and shuriken shot into the air, hitting the wall more than 10 meters away. Sparks flew everywhere, and the kunai and shuriken were stuck to the wall with great force. Such a terrifying force, if it hits the human body, it will instantly penetrate the flesh and blood. Yu, who had teleported several meters away, turned his head and saw the place where the kunai and shuriken hit, and took a breath of cold air. Hiss, if I get hit, I'm dead. But Yu didn't know that within a few dozen meters the people who shot kunai and shuriken from the trees outside were even more surprised. This speed has reached the level of the instant body technique. This kid's brain is quite useful. Just now, Yu condensed the chakra under his feet in an instant, and ran several meters away in an instant. It is exactly the same as the principle of the instant body technique. And Yu has never learned the instant body technique. It is conceivable how strong Yuyu's chakra control and physical strength are. Coming back to his senses, Yu looked in the direction of the attacker. At this time, there was no one around. Yu drew out the kunai and took a fighting posture. We can't stay here for long, we have to find a chance to run away. Judging from the attack just now, this person's strength is far above mine. In an instant, Yu analyzed the gap between the enemy and us. But Yu didn't dare to turn around at this time. Once he turned around at this time, he would be stabbed from behind by the attacker immediately. Yu did not intend to tangle with the attacker. He did not know any ninjutsu at the moment, and even his taijutsu was not very good. It was absolutely impossible to compete with the attacker with just the few basic ninjutsu he had learned. Yu knew this from the beginning. He just had to think about how to run. For a while, the surroundings fell into peace again. Only the evening breeze blew. There were not even street lights in this place, and the dark surroundings made people feel chilly. Yuyu's eyes were fixed on the direction of the attacker. He had sensed the general position of the attacker, and now he did not dare to act rashly. Suddenly, Yu felt a chakra fluctuation behind him. So fast. Yu was stunned, and the attacker appeared behind him almost in an instant. He did not even react. In just a moment, Yu came back to his senses. This time he did not teleport out again. He knew very well that the attacker's speed was faster than him. Teleporting out again would only be courting death. At this moment, Yu turned around and kicked over. Bang tilde. With a muffled sound, the figure behind him was kicked and exploded instantly, turning into a puff of white smoke. Oh no, it's a clone. Yu thought to himself that it was not good. Earth escape swamp technique. Yu suddenly felt his feet soften. The street under his feet instantly turned into a swamp, and the swamp had a strong adhesion, and soon pulled Yu into the swamp. At this time, half of his body had already sunk into the swamp. And his body continued to fall. Chapter 19. In almost 3 seconds, Yu was left with only his head on the ground. However, the attacker in the dark did not appear. Sure enough, when the swamp submerged Yu's head, a white smoke appeared. Yu in the swamp also turned into a piece of wood. Haha, substitute technique. You really apply the ninjutsu you have learned to perfection. It turned out that Yu used the substitute technique to avoid the attacker's earth escape. And Yu Yu's real body had appeared more than 10 meters away at this time. But he was not relaxed at all. He looked at the direction of the attacker with a serious expression. This guy is too strong. I am not his opponent now. Who is he? I should not have any enemies. I don't even know many people in the village. Who is going to hurt me? Yu Yu was very annoyed. The few ninjutsu just now clearly wanted to force him to death. What hatred or resentment, he didn't remember that he had offended such a strong person. Just as Yu Yu was brainstorming and wondering who attacked him, a figure walked out of the dark woods. Not bad, not bad, it seems that you already have the strength of a chunin. Seeing this man, Yu Yu looked even more nervous. It was too dark here, and the man was masked, so he couldn't recognize who he was. But this man gave him a very strong feeling, several times stronger than his teacher. If this guy really wanted to kill me, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to stand here now. But what is his purpose? This is a village, does this guy really dare to kill people in the street? Although ninjas often carry out assassination missions, this is a village and there is order. Even ninjas dare not hurt people at will. And this person is so strong that it would be impossible to be so troublesome if he wanted to kill himself. Yu Yu knew very well that this person could kill him in seconds. Just as Yu Yu was thinking, this person had come to Yu Yu. I don't think I've ever offended you. Yu Yu still didn't do anything. He wanted to know who this person was. The attacker glanced at Yu Yu and said lightly, "Follow me." He turned around and walked away. At this moment, Yu Yu wanted to turn around and run away. But when he thought of the gap between the two sides, he gave up. He shouldn't want to kill me, otherwise I would definitely not have survived just now. But what is his purpose? Unable to figure it out, Yu Yu hesitated for a moment and followed. There was no way, he was not the opponent of the other party, this person could kill him in seconds. Resistance was useless. And Yu Yu also wanted to know who this person was and what his purpose was. In the dark night, the two of them walked one after the other, more than 10 meters apart, and gradually walked to the back mountain of Konoha. When entering the back mountain, Yu Yu didn't want to follow, but he finally followed. He saw that this person would not kill him. The two came to the lake that Yu Yu and his team cleaned yesterday. Under the moonlight, the man's white hair made Yu Yu's eyes narrow slightly. Could this guy be Hatake Kakashi? Yu Yu looked at the man carefully, and the more he looked, the more he looked like him. No way, I don't seem to have offended him. Could it be that Mr. Yidong offended him when he was in the Anbu? So he wants to teach me a lesson now to avenge the teacher. After guessing that this man was Kakashi, Yu Yu felt that it must be because Mr. Kimoto Yidong had offended Kakashi in the Anbu, so Kakashi retaliated against him to warn Mr. Kimoto Yidong. However, since this man might be Kakashi, Yu Yu was sure that he would not be in danger. And this man was really Kakashi. During the day, he took Naruto and Sasuke to do tasks. In fact, Naruto and Sasuke completed the task, and he read a novel on the side. Kakashi is a fan of Jiraiya's books. Walking to the lake, Kakashi took off his mask. Yu Yu breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it's really Kakashi. After confirming that it was Kakashi, Yu Yu didn't say anything. He wanted to know what hatred Kakashi had with his teacher. Kakashi's attacks just now would have turned ordinary genin into a corpse. Yu Yu didn't blame Kakashi. He knew that since it was Kakashi, since Kakashi was taking revenge on him because of his teacher, then he must know his approximate strength. Otherwise, with his personality, he would definitely not attack casually. Kakashi is not a bad person. Yu Yu was a little gossipy and wanted to know what hatred his teacher had with Kakashi in the Anbu. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The scene was very awkward for a while. After a long time, Kakashi spoke first. Jingwen Yu Yu, your performance just now was not bad. Yu Yu didn't speak. Just watching Kakashi standing by the lake pretending to be deep. And Kakashi was a little embarrassed that he didn't get the response he wanted. But after all, he was an elite Jonin, so he quickly adjusted his mood. Are you confused now? Why did I attack you? Yu nodded. I don't think Kakashi teacher is just bored and teasing me. Kakashi was a little embarrassed. Yu was not curious about his purpose at all. On the contrary, he was not panicked when dealing with his attack just now, but was very calm. Calmer than him. Even Sasuke would not be like this. Sasuke's usual deepness is completely because of his tsunere. But Yu's calmness is really because he seems to have everything under control. In fact, Yu didn't know anything. The reason why he was so calm was just because this person was Kakashi, so he would definitely not be in any danger. Yu was very relieved at this time because of his understanding of Kakashi. And he felt that the reason why Kakashi attacked him must be because of his teacher. After all, Yu had no intersection with Kakashi before. But his teacher used to be a ninja in the Anbu, so there must be some feud between Kakashi and Kimoto Tongi in the past. Kakashi was a little disappointed that he didn't see what he wanted to see. But he didn't forget his purpose. Kakashi turned around, and his silver-white hair was very eye-catching under the moonlight. My attack just now can't be blocked by ordinary Chunin, which means that your strength is stronger than ordinary Chunin. That's all. If I increase the intensity, you will lose. Yu nodded. Yes, Kakashi teacher is a Jonin, I can feel that you can actually defeat me from the beginning. In front of you, I have no power to resist at all. I am still very clear about this. Yu had no doubts. He even knew that if Kakashi really wanted to take him down, he would have no chance to fight back. Although Chunin and Jonin are only one level apart. But the strength is really different. During the mission in Wave Country, the two Chunins were just clowns in front of Kakashi, and they were killed instantly after they were used up. Yu would not think that he could challenge Kakashi just because Kakashi boasted that he had the strength of a Chunin. Chapter 20. Kakashi smiled and nodded. Not bad, and a clear self-awareness. Kakashi looked at Yu and became serious. Your teacher and I were colleagues, did you know that? Yu didn't say anything, he could guess it. Kakashi didn't continue to ask Yu, but told Yu about his and Muben's decision. What do you think? Although the two of them can decide Yu's life, Kakashi still wants to ask Yu's thoughts. Yu thought for a while. I think I should have no choice to refuse. No, I want to know your thoughts are very important. Kakashi said. I don't have any ideas, and it's not bad to have one more teacher. Yu said lightly. Kakashi was a little confused. Don't you feel happy? After all, you know your teacher's experience, and you should know how rare it is to have an Anbu Jonin as your teacher. I know, but I'm not very happy to have another teacher. Yu's words made Kakashi very confused. He thought Yu didn't like him. I think my strength should be able to teach you a lot of things. Yu nodded. I believe, after all, you are teacher Kakashi, and I can know how powerful you are from many rumors. Yu really didn't rely on the memory of his previous life for this. Kakashi is indeed very famous in Konoha, except for people like Naruto who are relatively slow. As long as it is a normal ninja, they have heard of Kakashi's reputation. Kakashi was even more confused. Since Yu knew how powerful he was, why did he act so calmly? Teacher Kakashi, for me, being a stable ninja is the most important thing. I don't have to pursue becoming a strong man. This is Yu's true words, but also a lie. Yu really thought so. He had no ambition to win. All he was trying to do was to live a stable life in this world. He lied because he had a system. He knew that even if no one taught him, he could become a strong man. It just took more time and more trouble. Kakashi was speechless. Yu's idea was too unambitious. But when he thought of himself, what qualifications did he have to say about Yu? Don't you have a dream? Kakashi couldn't help asking. Yu smiled and said, my dream is to live a stable ninja career. You should know how short the career life of a ninja is. Yu Yu's words made Kakashi even more speechless. This was the truth, but Yu Yu was different, at least in Kakashi's opinion. He was a genius that he valued, and he was going to cultivate him to become the most important force to protect Konoha. How could he be so unambitious? Don't you have anything you want to protect? Kakashi still didn't give up. He wanted Yu Yu to at least have a goal to strive for. A ninja without his own ideals can't achieve anything. At least Kakashi is right based on his own experience. Yu Yu thought about it and said, of course I have enough strength. I naturally want to protect my precious things. Kakashi finally smiled. Then why did you say such depressing words just now? Yu Yu shook his head. Teacher Kakashi, I don't think what I said just now is depressing. I said I want to spend my ninja career in peace, but I didn't say I don't want to work hard. If you want a stable life, you need to become stronger, but as long as you can protect the most precious things, it is enough. There is no need to become stronger endlessly. As for whether it can be done, I don't care, as long as you do it, it is enough. Kakashi smiled helplessly. How can you say such old-fashioned words at such a young age? Okay, I don't want to introduce myself to you either. I think you should know some things about me. After all, you are not Naruto and the others. Sasuke and Naruto really don't know Kakashi very well. Forget about Naruto, Kakashi used to be a colleague of Uchiha Itachi, and Sasuke was also unfamiliar with him. Kakashi felt helpless. Sometimes he even wondered if Uchiha Itachi had never told Sasuke about him before. Kakashi was right. Uchiha Itachi had not told Sasuke about him. After all, Uchiha Itachi rarely told Sasuke about the Anbu. It was even more impossible for him to reveal Kakashi's story. Kakashi walked in front of Yu Yu. Under the moonlight, Kakashi, who was 1.8 meters tall, was only a head taller than Yu Yu. Yu Yu, who was only 12 years old, was already 1.6 meters tall. Among the little brats who are less than 1.5 meters tall, he is considered to be relatively tall. Compared to his aloofness in front of outsiders, Kakashi standing in front of Yu Yu did not act very aloof. He patted Yu Yu's shoulder and said seriously, "From today on, I am also your teacher, and I hope you can have the strength of a Jonin within a year or even half a year. When you have the strength of a Jonin, I will take you alone to perform some tasks." Yu Yu, who was originally expressionless, was stunned for a moment. Take me to perform tasks. Have the strength of a Jonin within half a year. Yu Yu's mouth twitched slightly. How much you overestimate me, who can have the strength of a Jonin within half a year. And you should also know what kind of ninja you are. The tasks you perform are not something that ordinary ninjas can touch at all. Although Yu Yu felt that his strength would improve quickly after having the system, he was not arrogant enough to be promoted to the level of a Jonin within half a year. You should know that there is only one level difference between a Chunin and a Jonin. Especially the Jonin is not a Jonin at all in Yu Yu's opinion. So there is only one level difference between Chunin and Jonin. But the difference in combat power between them is as big as the sky and mud. Under normal circumstances, a Jonin can crush a group of Chunin. And as long as they don't cheat, Chunin will be slaughtered when facing a Jonin. And it's not that if the ninjutsu strength reaches the Jonin, then you have the strength of a Jonin. You also need relevant combat experience. This is also the aspect that Yu Yu pays most attention to. Ninjutsu can be practiced, but combat experience requires him to really fight and accumulate. Yu Yu knows very well how Kagaya Otsutsuki was sealed by Naruto and Sasuke in the end. In essence, Kagaya Otsutsuki's combat experience is too poor. In terms of strength, she is definitely much stronger than Naruto and Sasuke, but she was dumbfounded after being sealed for thousands of years, and finally being sealed twice was simply embarrassing for the final boss. In fact, the Otsutsuki clan has this problem. Basically, they rely on pure strength to crush. It's okay to meet an opponent who is several levels lower than you. It's really cool to crush him directly. But if you meet an opponent who is only one level lower or even the same level with rich combat experience, you will be defeated with a high probability. Yu Yu is very clear that his actual combat experience is still 0. It will take a long time to have the strength of a Jonin. In fact, Yu Yu thinks so and asks too much of himself. He has already shown strength far beyond that of an ordinary Chunin when dealing with Kakashi's attack. The reason why he feels that there is a big gap between him and Kakashi is not from actual combat experience, but from the fact that his current pure strength is too far behind Kakashi. It's just that Yu Yu mistakenly thinks that this gap is the actual combat experience gap between him and Kakashi. After obtaining the excellent talent for learning ninjutsu, Yu Yu's actual combat level is actually much stronger than that of ordinary people. Otherwise, he would not have the strength to surpass an ordinary Chunin with the few basic ninjutsu he just learned.